What we do here is go back.
So let's see if this works. You never know, it might do. Good evening everyone, Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. It is Saturday the 7th of October, I think. I don't know, 6th, 7th of October, 2023. Good evening, hopefully you're all well and yeah, settled and ready for tonight's stream. Tonight's stream, in case you haven't wondered already, we are going to be discussing the Gigabyte ultra durable B650M. I want to say dash K, because most of their boards are dash K, but no, it's M space K, which makes it really hard for the YouTube analytics and keywords, because the K is on its own, so it's, yeah, difficult. Anyway, so we'll be discussing that. It is a ultra budget motherboard for the AM5 platform. And yeah, before we get too far into it, let's make sure that everything is actually working. Looks like I can see you guys in the chat. I've moved the chat window over, and that looks very weird. It's, yeah, freaking me out already. So that looks okay. Let's see if the overhead is working, which should be. There we go. Yeah, that is the edge. There is that. Yeah, that works for me. Let me go forward a bit. And thank you very much to Colin Hilton, who's just sent... Isn't it? Oh, sorry. Nick Barnes sent us £10 in the on PayPal. Bless your heart. Thank you very much for the donation. And thank you for all those that have donated already, such as Stuart Cleary, who's donated €5 already. It says, on behalf of Bob, Disco, Disco, Disco. And we also have one from Rick H as well. $5 from Rick H. Says, quiet on the set, lights, camera, and action. I heard that a few times. Unfortunately, I was there as well. Anyway, moving on. So, thank you all very much for joining us. Hopefully it's all working. Hopefully the overhead was working. I didn't even check, actually. Did anyone say, yep, you're transmitting good tonight? Excellent stuff. We are loud and clear and zero lag. Yes, I have. I've been learning this week on actually how to use a camera, because we've got a new camera now, which some of you may already know, some may not. The theory is now we're using phase detect autofocus rather than depth from defocus. So basically stuff like that shouldn't flicker. Although if I move around enough, it probably will do. I've just changed the camera settings. I didn't know that there was a thing called shutter angle, and you can set it to basically create or remove motion blur. So in theory, everything should be okay, at least on this camera. That one doesn't have the feature, so I can't do it on there, but anyway, hopefully it's all working good. Stuart Cleary says the super duper snazzy Panasonic cam is looking good, which is surprising because it's only outputting in 1080p at the moment. It's not even at 4K, which I probably should do really, but a bit pointless streaming in 4K really, I think. So Lucky Man says it's working. Yes, good stuff. Truck Fan says I don't feel that good tonight. Oh, sorry to hear that. And I heard someone said in the chat, the calf said Lucky Man says he's diabetic now. That sucks. There's a lot of it about. Oh, and we got some disco, disco, disco action from Colin Hilton. Thank you, Colin Hilton, for your $1.99 donation. Much appreciated, sir. It's really hard to actually see the screen on that side. I should put... Why does Microsoft assume that everybody is left or right-handed? Well, right-handed, obviously. I'm left-eyed. So I want my chat to be on the left, and I want my other window to be sized 2/3 to that side, because I don't really need to see that. That's the YouTube studio stuff. I don't really care about that. And actually, if you want to see what that looks like, I will show you now. Hopefully this should work. I don't know if it will, actually. Desktop, is that working desktop? Yeah, so there you go. That is basically what I see on my screen. So I can read the chat on the left hand side. And let's clear that out of the way so you can see. So yeah, that is basically what I can see. So I can see concurrent viewers, blah, 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 views, all that kind of nonsense. Basically, I only use it to click on this, end stream, every now and then. I can look at stuff there, stream health, shopping, yeah, all that kind of nonsense. But I don't really look at that. This is the one that I'm more concerned about. This is the live chat. So this is what I'm trying to keep an eye on. But normally, it is over this side. So actually, let me show you what it's normally like. This is very boring, but I'll show you. So normally, it is like that. So I have this setting over here, and I have the chat over there. So I have to look further to the right, over towards the wall, to actually read the chat. But because the Windows snappy whatever thing it is, it only wants to do that setting to this side. So I'm gonna have to, yeah, I want it to do the opposite of that, without having to manually resize it every time, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean, Harry. Let's actually, what if I can put that there? Put that one there. I can maybe put that one. Oh God, that's awful. Let's not do that. Let's minimize that. Oh God, it's got off the other screen now. Now I'm absolutely screwed. I've ruined it for myself. Is it on the other screen? Where's my other mouse? There we go. So that should be. Oh, why do I do these things? I'm not used to using two monitors. There we go, that's better. Right. And can I stretch that over now? He says. Drink. There we go. I think that'll do. That's about as close as I'm going to get. Anyway, moving on. You don't want to see all that boring nonsense. Or maybe you do, I don't know. Truck Fan says, God, these streams are great to watch on a boring Saturday night. Which says a lot of how bad this is. Mick Woods is £10 super chat. And he says, hi everybody. And we should say as well to Ugly Bob, if you're watching or catching up wherever you are, out on his travels, he's got like 3 or 4 weeks off work. So, Bob, hopefully you're having a great time wherever you are.
Enjoy.
Enjoy yourself. Don't drink too much. Drink enough, but not too much. Because when you get to our age, you regret it. You really do.
I don't know, Ugly Bob always doesn't.
Bob don't regret it because he just keeps on drinking. He's never sober, so it's absolutely fine. Did I lose the picture there for a minute?
I don't know, something went a bit weird. Truck Fan asked if you've had any recent bloopers. Maybe
We might be having some bloopers. I've got a sneaking suspicion that there's something very wrong with my capture card.
Was it because you dropped it again?
No, because it's physically inside the PC. I can't drop it. It's impossible.
Did you drop it the other day?
I might have done actually. Yeah, for some reason, I thought it was when I had 3 HDMI devices all plugged in at the same time.
It said yeah. Stuart Cleary says yes, it said Elgato.
Yeah, it said Elgato. So that is normally when it drops the signal, which it shouldn't do. But I did notice last week when I was setting up the cameras and I had my old camera and my new camera next to each other, and I also had overhead connected at the same time, it was going nuts. And I had to unplug one of the cameras. So, I wonder if it is... Oh God, that's what I meant to do. I was meant to change the PCI Express bifurcation for the slot. And there is another donation from Colin Hilton. Thank you very much, Colin. That is much appreciated.
Always look at the bottom one.
Yeah. It comes through, because the notification comes through on Cav's text, and I just looked at the top name before, and I thought it was Colin, but it wasn't. It was someone else. So anyway, yes. Bless you. Thank you very much. So Elgato has been up 3 times at the moment. That is troubling. Yeah, it's like it's losing the signal. I wonder if it is the HDMI cable is too long. I don't have a shorter one, I don't think. But it was alright last week when I plugged it into the other slot. Let me just double check that I've got it physically plugged in right. Bear in mind that this is my job. I should know how to do this stuff by now. So, is it... that card does wiggle about a bit in that slot, which I'm not overly pleased about, to be honest. Did it do anything stupid then when I was doing that? No. Oh, yeah. It did it after. So when is it doing it? Because it doesn't do it with the other camera.
You never had issues with Ryzen?
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, when things were simpler, we didn't have problems. Lucky Man says Elgato again. Yeah. I wonder if it is that thing. Yeah, Stuart says it's probably the cheapo Amazon basic cables. Well, I actually spent a reasonable amount of money on a what is allegedly, if I can find it, it's down here somewhere, is a high spec HDMI, but that is an HDMI cable, believe it or not. It's like a low whatever, like a flexi cable. And that's the only thing which is definitely changed from previous. So maybe the cable's supposed to be fine for up to 4K 60 Hz, which the camera isn't putting out more than that. And it's gone again. Right, I might have to quickly change over that cable just to rule that out as being a potential issue. Have I got a long enough HDMI cable? That is the question.
What happened to the old one?
Well, the old one uses a slightly different type of connection.
Oh, so it's for the new camera.
Yeah.
What last week?
I used that one, but I plugged it into a different port eventually. Right, I'm going to try and plug it into the other port. Things may go quiet, things may go bang. You can probably still hear me, but you probably can't see me. Let's change my HDMI to HDMI number 3. Okay, let's try that. Right, we're now on HDMI number 3. So maybe it's port number 1, which is buggered. I don't know how it works. I did look into it last week after the stream, but we had a little bit of bad news this week, so it's been a little bit of a mess of a week again, as they always tend to be. The capture card, the Elgato card, apparently is PCI Express Gen 3x4, but it's plugged into a Gen 4 ×4 slot. But I think because I've got the graphics card in there, I need to set it so the graphics card is PCI Express Gen 4x8, giving extra lanes back to the slot below. Otherwise it runs in just ×1 mode or something along those lines. That might be it. If it's better now, being plugged into the other port, that might be the answer. So it might just be the capture card. I did buy it cheap from Amazon as an Amazon return, but let's see what happens. Keep an eye on it for me. I can't see it because obviously I'm looking at the camera and stuff. So if you see that it says Elgato on the screen, like it's gone to a blank screen without me actually doing it, can you please type in the chat Elgato, or it's done it again, or something along those lines, just so I know. But we'll see. If it's fine on this port, it might just be that port number 1 is knackered. We'll see. Bloody hell, it's Ugly Bob. He's risen from the grave to see us once more from the other side. £20 super chat from good old Bob. And where's my bloody mouse gone? There we are. And unfortunately, he is at such a high level of membership that his text is in yellow and I can't read it. I should get my glasses on. Should I get my glasses
Sorry
on?
I can't be there, guys. Hope you're all fit and well. Take care and stay out of mischief, filthy buggers.
All right, there we go. Nice one, Bob. Enjoy your break. I did say that earlier in the stream, but yeah, you'll have to watch it back. Don't drink too much. Well, drink as much as you want. But
And no ergonomics.
no ergonomics. Yeah, avoid ergonomics. Kath, can you get the ergonomic thing? The last time Bob went away to somewhere foreign, he was looking at ergonomic bottle openers, and unfortunately, this is what arrived through the mail. I'm fortunate that the postman actually, I was expecting Bob to send it in a plastic clear bag with a label on it for the attention of. Yeah, that's going to be the next thing now. But this is a hand-carved phallus, which is also capable of opening bottles. And it is, to be fair, actually, it is pretty ergonomic. It feels like familiar, I don't know why. Anyway, moving on.
Feels like a larger version of...
Yeah, feels familiar, just bigger.
Kieran has one of those.
I don't want to know. Oh dear. Carpet Burger says, I can't hear me. Okay.
I didn't see them. Who's that? I must have missed it. I've missed a few. Oh. I'm not very good.
Which Nick Barnes, which motherboard is it again? Is that what you're saying? The motherboard in, what, the one we're looking at, or the one in my computer behind me? The one behind me is the MSI B650 Edge Wi-Fi Not gaming edge Wi-Fi, edge Wi-Fi. Because I had that problem before, and it was not good. Captain Me's Adventure says, this is why we flock in our tens for this seamless, slick entertainment. Hell yes. Captain Meat is older than me. 51 years young. Truck Fan says, I will say blip when it happens. Thank you. Excellent stuff. Let's have a look. Colin Hilton says, Mike's Unboxing, you need a Magewell quad capture card. Do you know what? Years ago, I actually was looking at getting one of those, but I think the Magewells, well, at the time they were great because they were 1080p across all 4 ports in hardware, and they all worked as individual ports. But because the way that technology is advancing, a lot of the stuff I try to capture now, especially when I'm recording videos for the content or OnlyFans, it's mostly in 4K 30. And I don't think at the moment Magewell do a 4K 30 capture card, which isn't like horrendously expensive. And to be fair, for the amount of use that I need for the Elgato, it kind of works fine. So I'm not complaining too much.
Tea?
Yeah, I have one. Yeah, where is it?
There on your desk.
Cool, thanks.
Hi, my HyperX Fury RAM.
Hang on, T? Who's this T person? I've never heard of you. T, coming in here, not even saying hello, and just throwing down your questions, just spitting them out. Could have at least said hello, come on. But anyway, we will take a look at your question, being as it is there. And we're still waiting for people to join us before we start having a look at this motherboard. Hi, my pipe. Start again after I've had a slurp of tea, believe it or not. This is a very common problem. T says, hi, my HyperX Fury RAM is being flagged on my motherboard as DRAM error. Will replacing the RAM fix the issue? Yes and no. Potentially, it might be faulty, full stop. If it's not, and you just put it into a new system and it's the very first boot, it can take anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes to train the RAM for the very first time on a brand new motherboard. And unfortunately, you do have to just leave it with the DRAM error lights on. Like on the MSI boards, normally it's CPU and DRAM that light up at the same time. And you kind of just have to walk away from it. If you watch it, it'll seem like it's taking way, way too long. So kind of look at your watch, make a mental note of the time, give it 5-10 minutes and then come back. And you might find that it's working. Kath's made a suggestion what you could do in that 5 minutes. I could probably do it numerous times, to be fair, but you may differ. Your mileage may vary, as they say. So, yeah, don't be too concerned if your DDR5, I'm assuming it's DDR5, if it's Fury X. If your DDR5 system takes absolutely ages to boot the first time.
As in, like, what, how long, roughly?
Anything up to 5 to 10 minutes for the first boot. As long as the lights are coming on to start with, it could be memory training. It shouldn't take this long. If you've got 4 sticks rather than 2, that's going to make things even worse, and I would possibly suggest going with 2 to start with. Maybe even just 1 stick. Something you will find eventually if it does boot, great, excellent, go in, set up your XPO or XMP timings, but manually put them in. So motherboards generally, especially AM5 ones, don't always seem to lock in the settings as they should do, and some motherboards, processors and combinations of RAM can be really, really kind of finicky about what they will and won't do. So go into the BIOS, manually put in the timings from your RAM into the BIOS, save those settings, and you might find that it's much better. I've done it on my system, and other than the capture card going slightly mad, which it doesn't seem to be now, so maybe I just need a new HDMI port, which yeah, potentially could be a thing. Touch wood, my system behind me has been absolutely great since I've done that.
It's DDR4 RAM.
Oh, if it's DDR4, you shouldn't really have that problem unless the RAM is way too fast for the chipset or processor. And if you haven't got XMP enabled, it probably won't be. It could be numerous things. Maybe something stuck in the slot. Best thing to do, join our Discord, throw the question in one of the tech rooms. Someone will be in there and possibly help you out. Or if they aren't, I'll try and do it a little bit later.
It's an A520M A Pro.
A.
First time building my PC.
Yeah, it could be a number of things. Probably a good idea as well. If someone's in the Discord at the moment, if you see T, or say your name's T, when you go in, someone will make you a member. Then you can post pictures of your PC. And just post some various pictures, different angles, so we can see what it's all about. And see if there's anything obvious that we can see. Where did I get to? Kenny D's with us. How you doing?
Have you had anything go in your Hoover this week?
Nothing in the Hoover. I've not used it a great deal, to be honest. I've actually missed at least 2 days of hoovering this week. I didn't do hoovering today. I missed out. I thought today, because the sun was shining, I'd go outside, get some fresh air, get some sunshine, get some exercise. So I did the grass, mowing the grass by hand with the push along mower, and I managed to, well, mowing the grass was fine. It was when I came in, I went into the front room and I was checking on my router, and I was going to plug in some cables elsewhere to do some cable management. And I leant over the front of the TV to get to the router, and I trapped a nerve in my back, and I almost fell to the ground with pain, where I just trapped the nerve. Most of you have probably done it at some point or other.
Stop exaggerating.
Yeah. And it was really painful. So I was there just kind of supporting myself on the TV. Luckily, it's a really old TV, so it's built pretty well. But I was kind of like holding onto the wall, the shelf, and the TV, trying to support my weight, which is quite substantial, to be fair. And yeah, it was not good. So
I was nearly swinging on my waist on it last night, trying to get the cat out.
Luckily, we've got a wand, like a Itera wand. It's like it beams out frequencies and stuff. It's supposed to be for like sports injuries and all kinds of stuff like that. So I've been doing that on my back, and it's all right. I've got some mobility. If I sit still for too long, I know it's going to get bad, but that's got me through the day today, so I'm pretty happy about that. Paul Lamont says, I got 4 sticks of Fury Beast, and it did take about 5 minutes. That is quite a normal thing for some motherboards, unfortunately. Colin says, Amazon.co.uk have a few Magewell 4K capture cards. Do they? With multiple inputs. That is interesting. Truck Fan says, question, have you had any dead on arrival parts? Yes, I've had a couple.
That wasn't very lively.
Yeah, I've had I think I've had 1 or 2 power supplies. Although one of the power supplies I wouldn't say necessarily dead on arrival, but I did notice that one of the SATA cables was not in, so the cable had come loose from the SATA plug. So I thought, well, I'm not even going to bother plugging it in. There's no point. I have had a power supply where I've turned it on and it's just completely dead, nothing at all. So I have had that. There's probably been other things as well. I'm trying to think. I think I've had a couple of Amazon warehouse motherboards that have come, and obviously someone sent them back and they're just not working. Irie Wolfman's with us. How you doing, Irie? Matthew Day says, Mike, looks like M.2_3 and the slots are split X4 between them. Right, so I'm not using slot M.23. So does it automatically split? Does it look like? I have read this and I just can't remember it. So is it automatically split, or would I have to go in and tell it, or would I have to disable slot M.2_3 to get the full X4 bandwidth? I've got a feeling it's not the bandwidth, because it's been fine now, hasn't it, when I plugged it into the other port. So it could be that the primary HDMI port on my capture card is basically failing, which is pretty unfortunate. I might have to get in contact with Elgato and see what they say. If the other 3 ports work fine, I'm not too bothered about it, to be honest. It has got 4 ports, so I'm only using 2 cameras, 3 at the most at any point, so it should be fine. We'll see. T says, sorry if it's been off topic. I wanted to get an answer to see if it can be fixed, since all the parts cost in total a lot of money. No, I was just pulling your leg. I wasn't being serious about that. I quite welcome questions. We've got a YouTube channel, for God's sake. That's what we do. It's a thing. I was just pulling your leg. Don't take that for me. It's my Bristolian stroke English humour, which a lot of people probably don't get. Most English people don't get it, to be fair. Hugh Luttrell says, I picked up a couple of crutches this week. Sorry you're too far away to loan them to you. I don't think I'm quite that bad, but thank you anyway. In a weird accent is with us as well.
Sadly, I have to admit, Intel.
Oh, where is that? I don't want to read that. I don't want to read that.
Has been doing better.
In a weird accent says, hi Mike, sadly I have to admit Intel has been doing better stability wise than AMD AM5. Enjoying this rig so far. Yeah. It was to be expected, unfortunately. Intel, they do have a lot of sense in what they do. So a lot of us complain and moan because Intel changed their motherboards every couple of years. But what they do is when they change the boards every couple of years, they make small incremental changes. Whereas AMD generally tends to kind of leap in a somewhat massive platform direction. So it's almost like starting from scratch again. We all saw it when the, what was it, the A320, the B350 and the X370 boards came out. It was horrible. It was a mess. It really was for the first probably year. It did get better, and it's likely it's happening again now. I'm hoping it's just a motherboard vendor thing, but I don't think it is. It does seem that people are having problems kind of across the board with AM5. That is one of the reasons why I've got this motherboard. This is a Gigabyte board. Gigabyte and ASRock do seem to be doing very good things in the AM5 space. Asus, unfortunately, seem to be doing the usual and just trading on the name. MSI, bless them, they're trying, but I don't think they're doing as well as Gigabyte and ASRock, unfortunately. Which is a shame, because I do like MSI stuff. As you all know, I'm somewhat of an MSI fanboy, but I am also a realist, and if there's potentially going to be a thing where MSI aren't as strong for this particular generation of processor, then I'm going to have to call it. It's partly my job, and as a enthusiast myself, I don't want to buy stuff which is going to be causing myself problems and potentially recommending it to you people who is also going to potentially cause you problems. That could get better. BIOS updates, firmware. There's a new AGESA which has come out, I think, a day or two ago, 1008, which also includes new support for AMD APUs, which are likely to be coming out very, very shortly, which I'm very much looking forward to. That is something which has been sadly missing from the AM5 lineup. The onboard graphics on AM5 is absolute horseshit. I can't even like put a nice wrapper on it. It is awful. The onboard graphics on AM5 are essentially not worth having. They're kind of like a GT 510 or worse. Like really bad. Really, really bad. Basically good for a 2D desktop at best. They are awful. And unfortunately we're paying a premium for it, which is why I'm actually looking to get a Ryzen 5 7500F to go on this motherboard, which is going to be hopefully a nice little platform, a slightly more, I don't want to say budget because it's not, it's more expensive than AM4 was or is, but in terms of AM5 as an entry point, I think this makes a pretty good kind of case for itself in terms of quality and what it can do. Yes, go.
Captain Meats.
Captain Meat. Mike, as the specs on the Raspberry 5 are pretty good, just wondering if you would do a series of videos on it. I have considered that. I've watched a couple of Raspberry Pi 5 videos myself, and in terms of a very, very cost effective is probably not the right word, but In terms of a very, very small form factor, low powered, multi-purpose PC, the Raspberry Pi's got a lot going for it. So yeah, potentially that will be a thing. I'm still waiting for them to kind of, I don't know, not mature, but at the moment there's still quite a lot of hype about them, so prices are quite jacked. I'm be interested to see what goes on price-wise, but they do look quite interesting little units, and they do seem to have a reasonable amount of power. Now, it's never going to challenge a traditional Windows desktop in overall use, but they definitely do have their own kind of little niche which they fit into very nicely for very, very kind of low-end computing requirements, watching YouTube, streaming videos, emails, web browsing, that sort of stuff. They're great for that. So yes, potentially that will be a thing. As soon as the drivers catch up, the Raspberry Pi 5 drivers catch up with the operating system, and it's got hardware support, which a lot of stuff doesn't at the moment, which does hold it back quite a bit. But yeah, definitely that's something I will be looking at.
Matthew Day asks, is there a 620 chipset to go with the APUs? I don't know if that's to you or not.
Yeah, I think there's I think the A620, yeah, the A620 motherboards are out, and they will work with the upcoming AM5 APUs.
Have you had a PC component box fall on your head, stepped on, or get squashed?
Yeah, all of the above. Yes, I've had boxes fall off the shelves above me. I've dropped them and I've stood on them, and I try not to, but it happens. Willie Bob says, Saturday night, it's party cat night.
Yeah, Pops is out.
Yeah, Poppy's out at the moment. No blips at the moment, good stuff. Willie Bob says, I don't trust AM5 currently, not one bit. It's getting better. Like I said, the system behind me, I wouldn't dream of using this as my main PC all day, every day, because I just don't think it's quite there yet. But having said that, I do trust it to run the streams, and capture card aside, it's been doing pretty good. I don't recall, other than the times where I've had to like restart OBS or something simple like that, I don't think it's had any real crazy problems. And I have been doing a few bits with it, tweaking bits and making videos, getting rid of Copilot, that kind of stuff. And yeah, in general, it's done pretty well. So I can't say that I'm overly enthralled by M5. It hasn't been a leap forward, or at least a sizable, like noticeable leap forward. Yes, it scores better in Cinebench, and there's some things it will do better. But I don't think AM5 was a necessary jump, unlike when we went from the bulldozer AM3 and AM3 Plus, then to Ryzen. That was like a monumental shift. It was like you're taking the instability and all the kind of early quirks, but on the flip side of that, you're getting some like incredible performance uplift, and in terms of efficiency and all that kind of stuff. So there was a tangible thing. It's like, yes, I will do this because there are valid reasons why this makes sense at this time, and if there's instability, it will get better, or it should get better. Whereas with AM5, it's kind of like almost like you're stepping backwards because AM4 was so good. But anyway, such is life.
Right, I did do the light.
All right.
But you missed Lucky Man's.
Lucky Man's super chat. Where was that? Let's have a look. Stream.
Ages ago. I'll do it again.
Sorry. There we go.
I've got to do manual lights.
You get double bubble manual lights. £5 from Lucky Man. Thank you very much. Sorry, I was like deeply engrossed in something there. That's the trouble. My unfortunately, I don't have a multi-core brain. It's like a single core, and if it's stuck on a task, that's it. The rest of it's screwed.
Yeah, my arms ache after streams. Waiting for him to notice.
I even struggled to have a telephone conversation while peeing. And that's like an auto task. Oh my god, these SteelSeries headphones wireless are brilliant. Even going to bog. Oh, I didn't even read that, and I come out with that as well. Even gone to the bog, no missing chat or stream. Excellent. Which ones do you get? SteelSeries. Which ones? SteelSeries is one of those brands I've never really had much of. I know George had some SteelSeries stuff, possibly headset and maybe a mouse. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's one of those brands which just kind of passed me by a little bit, really. Although saying that, I think Bob sent me something from SteelSeries, a headset, ages ago. Is it on the shelf?
You might have had them back.
You might have had them back, yeah.
A couple we've sent back, haven't we?
Hugh Luttrell says, I've learned from my workstations to burn in 1 DIMM of RAM at a time. Yeah, sometimes that can be really helpful. People are impatient though. I am, for sure. Truck fan, have you had to RMA anything? If you look on our channel and do a search for RMA, I have actually made a video on it.
And it even goes outside the house.
And we even go outside into the real world. And you see Kath in the video, strutting her stuff. She's like...
I'm not, I'm holding the video.
Sexily walking down the road with the bag, swings round, flicks her hair, throws it at the assistant behind the counter. It's all in.
The camera, aren't I?
It's all in that video. You have to check it out.
In a weird accent, has a question.
Go on. Go on. Go on. Go on.
Is there?
I can't see it. Where is it? I better.
Right to the bottom. And one up.
Quick one. Truck fan says, "What are your thoughts on the Arctic P12 PST ARGB fans?" I like them. I think they're really good. They were very expensive previously, but they seem to have come down to a reasonably sensible price, about £10 each. Highly rated, very good fans. The only thing I didn't like about them was the fact that the wiring, the RGB wire comes out one side and the PWM comes out another side, which for me is a little bit of a, like, why? It's just two different areas which I've got to try and concentrate on for table management, but yeah, it's fine.
Concentrate a bit more because it's in a weird accents question.
Oh, right, okay. Sorry. This truck fan says it there.
Yeah, but
oh, right.
In a weird accents question.
Oh, sorry. In a weird accent question, sorry. Would you rather have 6P plus 8E or 8P for gaming in CPU? Where, well, yeah, efficiency cores are kind of... yeah, I don't know, actually. That is a tricky one. Having used the Intel processor that does have E cores and P cores, it makes a big difference, especially in terms of power usage. So, like when you're not playing games, which I'm guessing is going to be a reasonable amount of time on your computer, you're not playing games like from the moment you turn it on to the moment you turn it off. So 8 performance cores are going to be better for gaming in general against 6 cores for quite a lot of modern games. I think that goes without saying. Whether or not eliminating efficiency cores from your rig purely on the basis of some games being marginally faster, I don't know. And some games will actually use efficiency cores now. That does appear to be a thing. So for less intensive tasks, they can use or utilize those cores. Although the biggest problem is the Windows scheduler. The Windows scheduler really needs to be kind of told what to do with the cores and to assign what to what. I think personally having the additional E cores running in the background on a modern computer. So if you've got your game running, you've probably got maybe Chrome you've left open somewhere, or your internet window. You've possibly got Discord running in the background as well for chat. You may have your email client running in the background, possibly. Antivirus, Windows updates, system stuff. That's like 7 things already, which are running in the background. And all those are going to be allocated parts of the processor. So if you've only got 8 performance cores, realistically, probably only 6 of them are going to be running in the game anyway, because Windows is going to be grabbing at least one of the stronger cores for things like I/O, disk maintenance, file I/O transfer, background tasks, antivirus scans, all that kind of stuff. So the point of the efficiency cores are that Windows can be allocated those efficiency cores to those lower profile, lower processing tasks, so that it doesn't impact your gaming. So in theory, if the scheduler is working correctly, Windows will play games smoother and with less deviations on the 1% lows and stuff on an Intel processor than it will on an AMD processor. because AMD's always kind of like just throwing one of the cores from the main group at these tasks, whereas the Intel processor is going, right, there's the efficiency cores, you go ahead, knock yourself out with those on those other background tasks, and we'll just concentrate on games. That isn't always the case for all games. They do have to be programmed and configured to do that. So it isn't an exact science. So I wouldn't say that either one of them is definitely like night and day going to be better for gaming or what. It's all marketing really. 8 cores versus 6 cores, but then you've got extra other cores. Then you've got hyper-threading as well. I don't know. I don't think there's a great deal of difference between it. Realistically, I think as long as you've got a reasonably new 6-core processor at least, then most games you're going to find are going to be absolutely fine. But there is going to be that point where games are going to be starting to be written more so, with more cores in mind. 6 cores, maybe 8 cores, maybe more. So, I don't know. Have I missed any of those questions? Nicholas. Hi Mike, I'm building a new PC. God bless you. And all those that sailing you. I've been watching your videos to get an idea of things. Thanks, buddy. No problem. I don't really do that many build videos, to be honest. I try not to do them because I think too many people do them. So I try to go into like more detail on the individual bits which you might get stuck on, like maybe flashing the BIOS, installing a graphics card, installing a PSU, doing your fans, doing your BIOS, rather than just one video.
Lists, maybe.
Yeah, PC part picker lists are quite useful as well.
Oh, brake check.
Brake check says, I bought a new PC case today, transferred everything from the old PC, went for a microfiber cloth to get the glass wipe, only to return and find the PC fell on its side and all the glass shattered. Oh no, that's horrendous. If it is a Corsair case, you may find yourself quite lucky, because they do often have spares that you can purchase. They may even send you one, if you're very, very lucky. Where is I saw something else just now. Inner Weird Accent says, oh, I have a question actually.
That was, you've done that.
I know, but I just noticed that. I'm scrolling up and down and just doing my brain a little bit. Paul Lamont says, is Mike wearing a real watch? Yes. I've given up on wearables. I'm not wearing wearables anymore. There are some reasons for it. I miss it. I'll be honest with you, I do miss having a smartwatch, especially certain times, like if I'm like in the garden, when I'm cutting the grass. If I can feel my phone vibrate in my pocket, I have to get the phone out, look at it, see if it's important or not. Whereas before, I could just flip my watch over and go, that's fine, it's just an email, it's no problem. So I do miss that. And also at night time, if I walk out into the kitchen to get a drink at night, I'm thinking, oh, I should be in bed, what time is it? I look at my watch and it's like, I can't see it because there's no illumination on it.
Put the light on?
Yeah. But there's some little things which you do kind of, you just take it all for granted. It is so nice to have a smartwatch at times, but on the flip side of that, it's just basically another thing giving off like electromagnetic radiation into your body, touching your skin, like 24/7 pretty much. And I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old. Maybe my tinfoil hat is dropping, but I don't know. I think we surround ourselves way too much with all this technology, and sometimes it's nice to just not have it. Like I take my watch off when I go to bed anyway, but yeah, it's just something else which isn't electrical that I don't have to wear.
And even George has given up his, and he's got a Casio.
Yeah, George has given up his as well. He used to have a Fitbit, Fitbit Charge 2, I think he had.
No, he had
I think it was a Fitbit Charge.
It was a Charge.
Yeah, I think it was a Charge 2. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been actually.
So he had a Fitbit Charge 2, and he's now got an old school Casio watch with the calculator on it.
I don't know. Does it have a calculator? I think it's just the 4-button.
Is it?
Version. Don't think it's got a calculator.
Oh no, he hasn't. No, he's got it is the older fashioned with that.
You press the two side ones and the alarm goes off.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Truck Fan says I have a web browser, a game, Steam and Discord open. I think most people tend to, especially in this kind of multifunctional world now, and especially people that got two monitors. Clearly, if you've got two monitors running or more, you've got your game on one monitor, the other monitor is unlikely to be blank. There's more than likely going to be something on it. So a web browser, Discord, application, whatever. So I think those extra efficiency cores do allow a little bit more flexibility, and the power saving is great. If you look at the even something as crazy as like the Intel 13900K, when it idles at about 4 to 5 watts, which is basically the same as a Raspberry Pi, which is nuts. So those efficiency cores are great because the main cores can basically just shut themselves down. The efficiency cores can carry on, let the system idle, whereas the AM5 system, the lowest I think I've ever seen it is about 30 watts idle. So that is a considerable jump. That's like 6 times the amount of power draw when it's idle.
Truck Fan's off.
So that is unfortunate. Cheers, Truck Fan. Happy bloopers.
And also, if you there's a bit of audio stuttering.
Is there?
There was.
I did notice that there was a little bit of a lag on the screen just now.
I think it's R. Davis. Need closed captioning. Can't make out your heavy accent.
Right. I think captioning should be on. It might not be because I think we've got the stream set to lower latency, so I don't think it does on the fly captions. Let me I can check that. Hang on a sec.
I think it does it. Or if you rewatch it.
Yeah, but I think I can change it on here. Stream.
Yeah, I think you do because sometimes it is on because I can't see anything you're putting on the screen.
Pay promotion. Yeah, there used to be a thing in here where you could set the
I prefer it with it off,
the
to be
speed,
because I can't read the messages you put on because the captions cover all that bottom bit up, so I can't tell if it's blocking anything.
Slow mode, live chat, live reactions. Where is it? I don't think I can actually change it during the stream. I think I can change it before. Yeah, I don't think I can change it whilst it's going.
Rick misses having a smart brain.
I can't change it, unfortunately. I do apologise.
Nicholas said...
Oh, ads will run shortly for some viewers in 3, 2, 1, 0, ad time.
If you go up a little bit, Nicholas says, I haven't built a PC with RGB stuff before. Is there anything I should think about when setting it all up?
Christ, yeah, there... I just want to see what that is, Nicholas.
Join Discord?
Yeah. The thing with RGB stuff is basically kind of work out whether or not you need a hub or whether you can daisy chain your components. Daisy chaining components, I wouldn't daisy chain more than 3 or 4 fans or strips on a single header. I think any more than that is probably a bad idea, as it is with a fan header. You don't really want to do that. So to simplify things, for me personally, I always try and buy a cheap hub and just plug all my RGB and fans into the hub and just control it off of like one header off the motherboard. It makes life so much easier. And also because you can then move the hub somewhere more central at the back. So if you've got like 3 fans at the top, 3 fans at the front, maybe a couple at the bottom, 1 at the back, you can kind of get all the wires to go to one central point rather than kind of daisy chaining them all around, which can be a little bit of a nightmare, especially if it's your first build or you've not done RGB before. If you want it to be super simple, you can get stuff like the Corsair iLink, or whatever it's called nowadays, or the Thermaltake, the SWA fans. Basically it's one cable, and you can kind of daisy chain very easily. That's an easy way of doing it, but it is expensive. Leanne Lee do them as well.
Feel free to join.
Yeah, feel free to join our Discord and we can help you out. Should you need it, just post some pictures and we'll give you some advice.
And up a little bit from that one is Ricardo. About 3060, I think it was.
I'm looking. Ricardo.
There's a new KOTH in video cards in Steam. RTX 3060, read it yesterday. K.O.T.H. Don't know if you need to ask that.
Alright, yeah, I got you. Ricardo, there is a new KOTH in video cards in Steam, RTX 3060. So, what's KOTH? King of the Hill? Is that like the most popular graphics card? It wouldn't surprise me. 3060 has been pretty much in everything for a long time, and is one of the few cards which you can still pick up at kind of, well, I wouldn't say sensible money, but without having to sell a body part. Yeah.
And then if you go down, Nicholas again, do all the RGBs sync with software?
RGBs can sync with software or hardware. Excuse me, hardware. It depends what you've got, the manufacturer, your case, your motherboard, etc. It can be a little bit of a nightmare. Mick Wood says, got ads on the Fire TV, but not on the iPhone. That's interesting. Aletta says, awesome. I wonder if alcohol is good for getting whiteout off the screen. Yeah, you probably shouldn't be using whiteout on there. Ira Wolfman says, doesn't the AM5 have an Eco Saver mode in the box? It does, but that only affects the TDP. It's kind of a bit misleading, the Eco mode. It's basically undervolting. It isn't actually changing the characteristics of the processor, unfortunately.
I can hear you.
And actually, let me see if I can show you. Where are we? Hardware monitor. We'll see what we're running currently.
Poppy's having a sniff of the
Hey, Poppo. Oh, Poppy. No, wrong way. Let's just stick that there. Right, let's show you what is on the screen. I haven't read it yet, so this is going to be news to me as well. Stream desktop, there we go. So, yeah, there we go. It pops. So currently, like, obviously we're not idling at the moment, we are streaming, but you can still see, like, we're using 40 watts. Now, bearing in mind that the graphics card is doing most of the grunt on this, because the processor, you can see, utilization is about 7%. So it's kind of like scratching the surface, realistically. But that is very, very little. That's not really being taxed at all. And still using like 40 watts, which is pretty bad. And part of the reason is because it doesn't want to clock down. Like the lowest I think it clocks down to is like 3500 or 3600. Whereas the Intel cores will go down to like 800 megahertz easily. Or turn off altogether or park themselves. And let's see, graphics card. Yeah, see, graphics cards in use, it's only doing 20 watts. And the graphics card is actually processing the stream. But it is using 25% of utilization. So 25% utilization for 20 watts, or 10% utilization, thereabouts, for 40 watts. It just seems that it's very poorly optimized. You can see there the individual cores, they do drop down, but it still adds up to be a significant figure, which is a real shame. And this currently is running not quite eco mode, but it's about, there's like 5 steps between full power and eco mode, and it's somewhere around 2 or 3 steps. So it's less than what it should be, but it's still not great. Anyway, there you go. You've potentially learnt a thing.
Can you hear Poppy purring?
I can. Ryan says, do you have any videos on the ASRock B650M Pro RS Wi-Fi? Not yet. No, it's that was a toss-up really between that board and this was available on Amazon next day delivery, so I got this one, but I will be getting that board as well. Irie Wolfman, what's the difference between a woman and a PC from 1995? I don't know. I don't know if I want to know. Tony says, live Tool gig or Mike's Unboxing. Sorry, my pirate friend. Love you to bits, but Tool are playing. At least I popped in to say hello. I'm not that bad. Take care, you guys. No worries, mate. You enjoy.
Bit up. Keith McAllister.
Keith just bought the ASRock B650E Tai Chi light on not so easy 3 payment. Still using 13-year-old Intel ASRock board. Yeah, modern motherboards are just ridiculously expensive. And actually, we should start taking a look at this board. So as soon as Poppy decides to off, look, there's little babies in there. Unfortunately. At least I hope it's babies, because it feels massive. You fatty. You have some little babies? Little monkey? Poppy Dora?
I can't even see it. You've got the thing on.
Yeah.
Give her full glory.
Try him. How much lag is there between me pressing that? That has gone. There we go. Poor Pops. You going to sleep? Tired out? Carrying herself around? Big fat monster. I'm not fat shaming. Oh, I am a little bit. Little babies in there. Right, you're going to go away so I can actually get some work done? Or do you want me to give you a carbon fibre wrap? Ugly Bob, bless his heart, actually sent us some carbon fibre wrap material. I can't remember what we said we were going to use this on, actually. There was something...
You are not the father.
No, I am not, no. Fortunately. Although that would be pretty cool. I'd make a lot of money.
Oh, I'd love them. Dave Aiken made me pictures of you with a cat's head, didn't he? I'm Ugly Bob did.
Yeah, they call it Tipex over here. Brian says, thank you for replying. I look extremely forward to you testing it. Keep up the good work. Now, actually, part of the stream, which I wanted to discuss as well, is if you're interested and you're a member of Human Life, there is actually the Amazon Prime Day sale on the 10th and the 11th of October. And I believe that is international. So that should be for kind of pretty much most people on planet Earth. I'm not too sure how it works out for Russia, but do they still have Amazon in Russia? Did they even have, yeah, Amazon.ru, isn't it? I wonder if they still do. Interesting. I have to find out. Someone let me know. If you're watching this and you're in Russia, let me know. Do you have Amazon in Russia still? Is it still a thing? I know some companies left. I'm struggling here. So yeah, I'd be interested to know if Amazon is still a thing. I don't think it is. Are we affiliates in Amazon Russia or not?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Only certain countries you can't link them.
Aletta says, I know what Poppy did this summer. Yeah, so do I.
She's reincarnating Daisy.
Nicholas says, Amazon on a Indian VPN. Ricardo says, did really the turbo button work in old-fashioned PCs? I saw no difference because I had to work with 5.5 inch diskettes. Well, the turbo button was one of the worst named buttons ever in the history of computing in that time, because the turbo button was designed to do the exact opposite of what you expected to do. So if the turbo button was off in the normal position, your motherboard and computer and processor would generally run at the normal specified speed that the hardware was designed for. The turbo button was actually designed to reduce the speed of the processor to run older DOS games or for older DOS utilities, etc., where a too fast processor would make them run weirdly or the game to run too fast. So the turbo button was actually designed to underclock the processor weirdly. And quite often I found myself very often pressing the turbo button just because I wanted the power light, the hard drive light, and the turbo light all on at the same time, but not realizing it actually made my PC slower by changing. I'm pretty sure it changed the bus speed, or I think it was the bus speed, like from, I don't know, whatever it was, 33 megahertz to 66 or something along those lines. Anyway. So, yes, going back to Amazon. Amazon Prime sales. Myself personally, I am looking out for a Ryzen 5 7500F to go with this. Potentially, I'm looking for a micro ATX case. I'm not entirely convinced on the Tower 200 because effectively it is an ITX chassis. You can fit a micro ATX board in there, but I think it's probably not advisable. But I might have to do that.
Can you tell Nick Barnes that he needs another kitten from Joe?
Nick Barnes, you need another kitten. Joe says, do what you're told.
Because Mike will.
Yeah. I won't. So...
Are you answering David Aiken's question?
I am, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Mick Wood says Amazon have suspended shipping to Russia and Belarus. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mick. That answers that question. Also, Amazon Prime, obviously, it's going to be that time, like, realistically, from two sides. From, like, a businessman's idea, obviously, it's October. So we've got November, you've got the holiday season fast approaching, and you know it's going to be kind of, you look around, and the next thing you know, it's like, shit, it's New Year's Day. Where did that go? What happened? All I know is I'm freezing cold and it's another year gone. So I'm going to try and be proactive this year as someone who runs a YouTube business channel, and I'm going to try and stock up on Prime Day because this is the first opportunity.
Tell William to refresh his screen because it's...
What's that?
William says every 2 minutes I have to press 1.5 to keep up with the stream. Plus my mic is out of sync.
Oh, sorry about that, William. I'm not sure what's going on there. Sounds right our
RN,
end, but yeah, you might need to refresh your browser possibly. Yeah, so my advice to most people would be, obviously DDR4 is going to be, this is probably the last year of it being the kind of the rock bottom prices, I think personally. I think this is going to be the last big push for DDR4. So they're almost 100% going to be deals on DDR4 RAM kits. So I would certainly try and stock up on those if you can. If you financially, if you can, I think it's going to make sense to do it now. There might be sales better later in the year, Christmas time, possibly into the new year, and possibly when it comes into kind of like the February, March, or after CES. Sometimes you get the odd occasional sale there, but it's never really going to be that much of a thing. It's always hard to tell, but I think Amazon Prime, Amazon being the company they are, they can see what's happening. DDR5 is starting to gain popularity and momentum, so they're going to be probably looking at it as like, this is our last big year for DDR4 for most of the speeds anyway. So DDR4 I would stock up on if you can. M.2 storage is, again, very much like a commodity thing now, so I can't see it getting much cheaper. We're seeing now 1 terabyte drives for kind of 40-ish pounds, thereabouts. Maybe a little bit more depending what brands you go for, but we are seeing some incredible prices. I wouldn't be surprised if we see £40 1 terabyte drives, £20 512 drives, and like £10 to £12 for 256 drives. In which case, I would again, at that sort of money, if you can, it's always worth keeping a couple of M.2 drives in stock anyway. They're one of those things that you don't get that kind of telltale clunking noise that you get from a hard drive and you think, oh shit, that's going to fail. With M.2 drives, they work, you turn it off, you go to turn it back on, and it doesn't work. So that is why backups are super, super important with modern systems with M.2 drives and SSDs. Sometimes you notice them slowing down a bit or getting a few bad sectors or something, but generally, if they're going to fail, they just fail outright. At least in my experience anyway. Power supplies, I'm hoping there's going to be some power supplies cheap. I don't see it happening. with ATX 3.0 being pushed more and more, it's an expensive platform to build and design and to sell. So until we get the economies of scale where everybody's buying ATX 3.0 power supplies, I think they're still going to be expensive. So do look out for some older bargains on the older ATX 2.2 and 2.3 standards. Those are going to be well worth looking at if you can get some decently cheap PSUs, but I don't think there's going to be many of them. Other than that, I don't think there is anything else really. Yeah, DDR5 deals should be better this year. In terms of pricing, they already are coming down. They're not at parity with DDR4 yet, and I honestly don't think they will be. Not for a long time. But they are. It is getting awfully close. And now we've got the possibility of AMD releasing the APUs and some moderately inexpensive motherboards. Like this is £130, I think, which if you think about when AM4 was out, like the B550 range, those were all quite expensive when they came out. They started at like £150 to £200. So if you wanted something like a B550 Tomahawk board, you were paying £150 at the least, if not considerably more. They did drop down quite quickly, but in terms of specifications, this, even though it's like a rock bottom low tier motherboard, in terms of actual quality of what it is on the board and what it gives you, this is significantly better than the B450 the B450 Tomahawk and probably the B550 Tomahawk, which is bizarre being this is like an entry-level board, but the specs have jumped. They have to make these boards better, they have to use better components, they have to use multi-layer PCBs, they have got BIOS flashback, they have got 2.5 gigabit LAN as standard, they've got USB Type-C pretty much as standard on pretty much all boards now. So it is an inherently more expensive platform. So yeah, don't be expecting any boards under the £100 mark on AM5 for a long time. Rick H is saying that motherboard is about $119 on Amazon US. That's pretty impressive. There is, the weird thing about this is there's another version of this which came out a couple of days ago, which is the B650HE, I think it is, which looks exactly the same. And apart from some very small things, it is almost identical, and it's about £20 cheaper here in the UK. It has been on UK Hot Deals this week. And I look closely at it, and there are some significant differences which make it, I feel personally, not worth saving the money on, because it is literally an inferior board in a lot of ways. So we'll have a look at that shortly. Poppy, come on.
You're going to call one of the kittens Gigabyte?
No. I have to call one MSI.
Ryzen.
David Underhill says some of the local dealers here have DDR3, DDR4, DDR5. Wholesalers still stock DDR2. Bloody hell.
Is today Catterday?
Yeah, it must be. Nick says DDR5 seems to be at the same level as DDR4 was 18 months ago. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that actually. DDR4 has been quite a bumpy ride because there was that whole pandemic thing, and suddenly memory and everything was getting more expensive because there was massive demand. And I think there was one point where DDR4, especially the RGB stuff, was at least like £100 and something for a 16 gig kit. And I remember buying a kit and thinking about 2 months later that it's almost half price now. I really bought it at the wrong time. So yeah, it was pretty bad. David says as well, the B550 Tomahawk was $140 2 years ago. Now it's $269. Yeah, some things have just got ridiculously expensive. Anyway, let's take a look at this. Put them up. Poppy, how about just move in somewhere, please? I will actually... There you go. Well, a bit of vinyl wrap. Like that. You have suddenly become Iron Man. Or something. No? Alright, let's get rid of that. She's like, I'm going. That man's a bloody lunatic.
Not here to be abused, are you, Pops?
Hello, G-Zone.
You gonna go on that bed?
Craig Gaming says, always on UK hot deals myself. Someone posted today the Thermalright Frozen Prism 240mm black CPU water cooler with dual PWM fans. Really cheap. I'm tempted. Yeah, it seemed like a good deal actually. 50 quid for a 240mm AIO. Can't really argue with that too much. It's pretty decent.
Cat says that's a wrap.
It is.
Poppy be like, oh, I'm off. I've had enough.
Stuart says, wow, that's an unjust price hike, much like everything else these days. It is. Unfortunately, yes, it is the way things are, sadly. Right, let's have a look at this motherboard. Because, actually, let's have a look at the website first of all. Let's do that. Ads will run shortly for some viewers in 30 seconds. So get ready on that skip ads button. It does come up on the bottom now and it says. That's kind of cool.
Been meaning to ask, is there a connection between Thermaltake and Thermalright?
Other than the first part of the name, no. And the fact that they're in Taiwan. That is kind of it.
The Sahara 360.
Yeah, Glenn's saying that. Yeah, the Sahara 360 AIO with the temperature display is still 50 quid new on eBay at the moment. I've actually got one there.
I got.
Yeah, go on. There it is. I have one there. So if anybody wants it, let me know. Nick Barnes says, don't get adverts on stream. Cool.
I think it's a new thing they've made us do. Isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I knew I shouldn't have had all that sugar before I started the stream. I'm crashing now, horrendously. Well, Bill, I watch on Firefox and I get no ads at all. Awesome. The ad apocalypse is apparently upon us, but touch wood, we've not been subjected to anything like that yet. Let's try some foam bananas. You dropped it.
Chuck it up and catch it.
Yeah, if I do my back in, that's going to be the end of the stream.
Fall off your stool.
I will do it. Irie Wolfman says, I'm watching on 3 devices and no ads. Awesome. I'm not sure if that works as extra views. I think they look at the IP address. And I think it just gets rounded down. But thank you. Because Cap's got like 150 tabs open.
I don't anymore. I shut them all.
Have you?
That's the one with 150 tabs.
Sweet baby Jeebus.
It's only from where I answer questions.
Right, let's see if I can get this in my mouth. I don't think I will.
You'll keep trying to do it. Not scabbing to the floor.
I can't move because my back's hurting. Yeah. Just pretend that went
Got
in.
a chip on your shoulder.
I got a banana on my shoulder, not a chip.
I was going to get that.
Do you want
Not even close.
one? I know. It's like stick it in my eye.
Let me have a go. Not with you chucking it.
Cap almost dropped her phone doing it then.
Oh,
It went in her mouth and jumped back out. It's like, I ain't going in there. Ain't never get me on a train, sucker. She almost choked to death then.
I didn't.
Right, anyway. Moving on. That's a good way to diet. It works for me. Well, it doesn't, obviously. Right. Let's do something with that. Refresh page. There we go. Oh, what's going on now? It's doing mad shit.
Oh, thanks, Mick.
Thanks, Mick. What has he done? I'm just saying it. I'm just repeating.
No ads this time. I don't skip ads if it's a channel that I subscribe to, as it's the revenue stream for the creators.
Oh, bless you. Right, let's do stream desktop. There we go. So this is the motherboard. This is the B650MK Ultra. Mic and calf board, yeah. Revision 1.1. Now, I've actually looked on my board, and for those of you that are not sure, if you get a board, check out your serial number or your sticker on the side there. It'll tell you which revision it is. And if I get that close enough.
Stream just went back 4 seconds, William said.
Oh, did it? So you can just see there, got the revision number there. And autofocus. Happy days. Autofocus. Boom! Autofocus. Unbelievable. Who would have thought? You pay a load of money for a camera and it actually autofocuses like a camcorder did in the 70s. Motherfuckers. Sorry about that. Actually, I should clear that other stuff off the screen, shouldn't I? Hang on a sec. Where are we? Clear. Okay, that should be done now.
Sky Stalker's here.
Hello, Sky. You made it. William Bow says the screen did just go back 4 seconds. I don't know what's going on there. Wonder if it's the German servers. Don't know. Anyway, let's go to stream desktop. That's what I wanted. And let's find the thing. There we go. So this is the motherboard B650M-K revision 1.1. The differences between the two are very minimal. The 1.1 version, I've noticed, does have a improved VRM. So on this you've got an 8+2+2 phase digital VRM, whereas revision 1.0 has, oh god, thanks Pops, has an 8+2+1. So you've got an extra phase been added to the, I never work out actually what that is. The first one is the cores, the second one I think is the I/O, and the last one I think is the graphics, for want of a better analogy, but I think that's how it works. So that's the 8 is for the CPU cores, the 2 is for the system I/O, and the last one is for the onboard graphics. I think that's right.
Board cost?
I don't know. So anyway, we've got an extra phase there for the onboard graphics solution. Maybe that is to do with the new APUs coming out. I don't know. Supports dual channel DDR5. This does up to DDR5 8000, I think. If I remember correctly. Yeah, DDR5 8000 OC mode, whereas the revision 1, I think, is only 7600. No, tell a lie, that's up to 8000 as well. So basically the same. Other than that, I think there isn't really any specific differences that I could tell. Most of the time when they do these changes, it's just the audio codecs changed. But yeah, they have gone and actually added an additional phase to the VRM, which is nice. Other than that, it's all pretty much the same shizzle. So Easy Latch PCI Express, that's nice. Looking forward to that. 2.5 GBE LAN. You got DisplayPort. Oh God's sake! DisplayPort HDMI, USB Type C at 10 gigabits per second. Smart Fan 6, so multiple temperature sensors across the board. You've also got hybrid fan headers with fan stop, and also you have got built-in Q Flash Plus, so you can update the BIOS. So for newer CPUs when they come out, then you can update the BIOS and it will work straight away. Not as important as some other boards, but still kind of nice to have. Looking at the layout, you get an idea of this, but 4 RAM slots, obviously VRM cooler on this side, 8 pins at the top for CPU power. One of the important things on this is the fact that the PCI Express is right at the top. So if you look at where your audio jacks are, the highest possible point here for micro ATX boards is where you want your graphics card slot, because if it's under here, next slot down, it means you're going to be really cramped for your graphics card on most micro ATX cases, and it's not going to pull in much air. But just having that slot an inch higher makes a massive amount of difference to the thermal abilities of your graphics card. Obviously, if you're not using a graphics card, it makes no difference, but most people, I think, on AM5 will be, because the onboard is absolutely awful. So anyway, yeah, having a slot here is much more preferable. So I think that is pretty much it. In terms of the I/O on the back, there isn't really a great deal going on here. So you've got HDMI there, HDMI 2.1B I think it is. DisplayPort 1.4, you've got two USB 2.0s, another two there. You've also got USB Type-C 10 gigabit per second and a Type-A port. And then you've got your fast USB 5 gigabit per second ports there. BOS flashback button, 2.5 gig LAN, and crappy onboard audio. No Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, no optical outputs or anything like that either, sadly. So I guess that is kind of it for there. Some other key features that I possibly have missed out, can't think there is really. The PCI Express Easy Latch is quite nice, the way they've done the new slot on there. And also for attaching M.2 drives, you've got a nice little kind of like a bung which holds the drives in. So that's pretty cool. Oh, and also there's a multi-key. So there's a reset switch down the bottom, which you can use to either set to go to reset the BIOS, change your RGB, or you can do it so it directly boots into the BIOS or boots into Windows Safe mode. So you've got various options you can choose there. There's the VRM. Oh yeah, so vCore, 8 phases, SoC, so that's your system on a chip, so that's basically all the I/O and stuff, and memory control. And then you've got miscellaneous phases, so that is going to be for PCI Express lanes. Right, I wonder what the extra phase was for. I thought it was for the graphics, so the SoC must be the graphics as well then. You learn something new every day.
They started power pack like that.
Don't know. The LAN 2.5 GBE. I like it how they showed that, but with a motherboard with an integrated I/O shield, which is nothing like the actual model we're using, which is nice. Nice clean BIOS. We'll be doing a BIOS tour of this at some point. So if you're struggling to sleep, then this will help. There's the Easy Latch. So yeah, it's got basically like a flared lever on it. So even if you've got a massive graphics card in there, you can still open up the PCIe port to remove your graphics card. I like that. I think that's a great idea. And the fact that it's on the top rather than the bottom means it's not going to be kind of like sandwiched in underneath coolers and fans and all that kind of nonsense that are on the graphics card. So this is very cool. I like this a lot. Yes, overclocks with Expo. Very nice, whatever. So let's close that down and let's go back to the main camera. So there you go, that's a kind of overview of the board, and you can see the packaging. The packaging is really horrible, like horrible. It's very bland. There's essentially nothing really going on. Just tells you basically the same stuff again. So PCI Express Easy Latch, 8+2+2 phase VRM, fast gigabit LAN, USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C, 10 gigabit per second. Yeah, that is kind of it. Just take a look inside and see what we get.
Before you go there, can you have a look at Dave Aiken's questions, because I'm going to get lost.
Dave Aiken's
He's
question.
got a big queue and it's up a bit. I think that's the only question come in, but it's going to get lost.
I can't see it already. How long ago was it when Sky came in, or before Sky?
Before Sky, I think.
Oh, big Q. This came up on Hardware Unboxed podcast. Do you say it Asus or Asus or Asus? Good question. I call it don't buy it, because it's overly expensive nonsense. Let's zoom in the old camera. Typical, now this thing's got another lens on it. It's actually autofocusing. And that only cost me a couple of £100, bastards. Anyway. So this is a Gigabyte or Gigabyte or Gigabyte, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Be prepared to be underwhelmed. There you go. So, a SATA cable. Yes, a singular SATA cable Thanks for that. Nothing there. Motherboard. Piece of cardboard. A multilingual installation guide. A Gigabyte how to install a processor or warranty thing, I guess that is. What is that? I don't even know what that is actually. Oh, regulatory notices for basically all of those motherboards. Thanks for that. And there's an IO shield.
Oh, I was hoping it'd be licorice.
Remember those IO shields?
Phantom. It's pretty about it.
USB Type C. Why have they got that bent down like that? That
Are
should...
there any Taiwanese spiders in the box?
Doesn't appear to be, but I won't rule it out. So I'm going to bend that up out the way already. Oh god, I forgot how much I hated these. I know you only have to use them once really, but... Ugh, dear lord. At least it's printed on there what they actually are. Anyway, so that is what you get inside the box, which is not a lot. Not a lot. I wonder if the reason they didn't have that bent out...
This looks really out of focus.
It probably is. Come on, you shithead. There we go. Right, let's stick that into manual focus mode. If I can find the button. That one. Yeah, MF. We're in MF mode. MFers. Come on, get out of the bloody way. Okie dokie. Gigabyte. I've not bought a Gigabyte board for what seemed like a long time. I think the last Gigabyte board I actually bought was the Mini ITX one, which didn't work. Well, they thought didn't work, but did. I should get a knife on this, really. There we go. That makes life easier. So for those of you that haven't seen the AM5 motherboard before, there's some things which actually make this a really nice, attractive proposition, especially against what would have been from the Intel 10th, 11th and 12th gen, is the socket here. This whole backplate, the AM5 backplate, which is massive, by the way. This is huge. This is actually stuck on the board, and it's basically physically mounted there, so that cannot come off. So never you're going to have the thing where this backplate falls off behind the back of your case somewhere. And also, because it is a solid chunk of metal, you don't get that flexing of the socket, which is where Intel went wrong. By not putting this on the back, it allowed it, when you actually had tension on the retention mechanism here, because there's so much force on there, it has a tendency to bend the PCB. But being that this is a hard physical piece of metal, it cannot bend. So that is a really, really cool thing that they've done there. So in terms of longevity, AM5 boards should, in theory, last a lot longer. At least that's the theory. So motherboard wise, 8-pin power connector at the top here. With VRMs on the top. Got a CPU fan header there. There is a digital RGB connection at the top here. And also there is another one at the bottom. So if you're connecting up fans at the bottom, no worries. You're connecting stuff at the top, you're covered on both of those. So it's nice they got two of those. 24-pin power connector. You've got another system fan header. USB Type-C port, which on a low-end board really you don't normally get. 4 SATA ports and a right-angled USB 3.0 front panel header. Got all your system I/O ports at the bottom, your CMOS reset front panel switch there, another fan header. Only one USB 2.0 front panel header. So for people buying this, maybe going down the Corsair route or thermal tape route for connecting up USB 2.0s, do bear that in mind. So you might need to get a splitter for that. We don't, so it's absolutely fine. Digital LED output, RGB, TPM switch, programming header. You also got the front panel audio capacitors there. I'm not sure what brand they are. I've got no chance on God's green earth of seeing that, to be fair, so I'm not even going to bother looking. 2 M.2 slots there, so that one's going to be PCI Express Gen 3x4. That one is Gen 4x4, and you've got the little pop out thing there. So you just unplug that, put your drive in, and actually saying that, I don't think that whole thing is meant to come out, is it? I think the drive is supposed to go into that. So it kind of sandwiches in between those two bits. Am I wrong? No, that's for to grab it. Yeah, that doesn't look like it goes in properly.
Dutch Jan?
Hi, Dutch Jan. Where is it? Let me find that.
Right bottom nearly.
Okay. Dutch Jan, question AM5, how does that work with example Be Quiet coolers that screw off the back? So, if you've got a cooler which screws into the back plate, still works because you can undo these two mounts here. I'll grab a screwdriver. So if it uses some sort of custom mount that goes actually physically through the motherboard, then it won't work. But most of them now have got adapters so that they can screw into those sockets there. You've got the same on the bottom as well. So if you undo this and that, so even with that undone, the back plate remains because that is physically attached to the board. That will not come out because that is part of this whole setup. And even if you take off this retention clasp, I don't think it comes off then. I could be wrong. I've never actually done it. Maybe it would. It might still be glued as well. I think they probably are. But yeah, so most coolers will come with a set of brackets which attach to there and there, or they'll use the older conventional AM3 and AM4 style latch brackets. A lot of Corsair coolers and things like that do now. And actually, a good thing about this as well is because it's physically fixed there, it doesn't really matter which order you do it with these screws because the back plate is in place. It won't move, and it doesn't matter about how much you tighten these because it's just plastic on top of the metal. So you don't have to worry about how much torque you put in it, just tighten it up and it's done. So yeah, it's awesome. I like this whole retention mechanism. I don't like the fact that the CPU now has pads rather than pins. I'd have much rather kept pins, but yeah, I guess it is what it is. So I want to have a look actually underneath the M.2 cover. Let's see what is going on there. See, yeah, that's good. So the screws are captive because that's often a pain in the ass when they fall out when you're trying to do stuff. CMOS battery there. You also got thermal pad pre-applied if you need to use one, or you can leave that out altogether if you've got like a high capacity or a high power drive which has a thermal heatsink of its own. The only thing is, if you put a drive in here which has got like a super deep like RGB thing on it, then you're going to be screwed by your graphics card. But other than that, I think that's absolutely fine. Most drives don't really need a great deal of cooling, they just need to stop themselves overheating. Most NAND flash is designed to run relatively warm anyway, but not overly warm, so around a sort of 50 to 60 degrees is where they're happy. Yeah, so M.2 drive there, you can pull this out as well and put it into the extra size slot there, but you've only got the option of 2280 or 22110s. Armoured PCI Express slot, and you've got that tab there, which I'm not sure if you can actually see how that works, but it's a little bit flimsy, but that is actually a great idea. So if your graphics card's in there, you can still get to this quite easily and unclasp it. That is awesome. Actually, I'm going to give a close-up on the other camera on that. I think it warrants it. And at least this sucker autofocuses. So hopefully you can see how that works. So big old clasp there. That is going to make life a lot easier for people. You see the line of your graphics card is going to be underneath that. So it's really easy to just press that down and get your graphics card out. MSI and others, listen up. This is how it should be done. Very good. Okay, so there's a look at the board and the rear I/O. BOS flashback button. I'm glad there isn't a VGA port on here. I think that would have been a bit too much. Sad that it's only got USB 2.0s there. But then saying that, most people, what you're going to plug in there, keyboard, mouse, maybe some RGB mouse mat or something. I don't know. I think 3 high-powered connections and a USB Type-C is probably enough. Things like printers and that would be fine on there if you use a printer. I guess not many people do these days. Look at the autofocus on it. Bloody marvellous that, isn't it? Focus. Autofocus. Focus.
I'm going to chuck out my floor in that. I know you.
Oh dear.
Nick Barnes.
Nick Barnes. Ads on now. Skystalker says, I purchased a M.2 4x4 drive this week. It was a 1TB, 5500 kilobits per second, or megabits per second, with a cool heatsink for 45 Canadian dollars plus tax and free shipping from Amazon CA. Awesome deal. Sounds good. That's pretty good actually. 45 Canadian, because that's what, 30 quid? Nice.
Up to.
Nick Barnes says, focus is great on the new camera. It is. It is.
No, up.
Oh.
To Nick Barnes' question still.
Got it. I'm on it.
You're so sweet.
I'm on it.
You're not really.
Question, are all B650s built with M.2 below PCIe slot for GPU? Assume if it's so because of location slot. No. In fact, it's very, very rare these days. More times than not, the M.2 slot will be above the graphics card slot. For pretty much every ATX board, that will be the case. But I think they've done, again, like I said, it's a sensible solution. If you consider, like, if this is in a motherboard, in a case, micro ATX case, it's literally like that. So by the time you put your graphics card in here, if it's in that second slot down, which traditionally it will be on a lot of motherboards, that doesn't give you a lot of room for cooling underneath. And micro ATX cases aren't always known as being the best for airflow anyway. So your graphics card's always going to be struggling to some extent. Unless it's something like one of those chimney style towers where it draws air in the bottom, in which case, yeah, it's going to be fine. But those are more of a rarity than the norm. Most PC cases are going to be fans pushing in the front, exhausting at the back or out the top. So trying to get air actually in and under the graphics card is going to be unnecessarily difficult if you've got a PCI Express slot which is one slot down, which is why I think this board is the best option currently that is available. I'm trying to work out how does that VRM cooler come out.
Joshua?
Looks like it's a pop out. Joshua, thinking of buying the motherboard for my new Ryzen 7 7700. What would you say? Yeah, sounds great. This with the VRM it's got, the 8+2+2, you shouldn't really have any problems with anything up to probably, I don't know about a 7950X. That might be pushing it a bit, especially with all core loads. But it might be fine. It certainly lists it as a, you can put the top of the range processor on here. It is listed for it. Whether or not it's a good idea, that is another matter. But yeah, the 7600, the 7700 are going to be absolutely fine on here, no problems at all. That's the standard versions or the X versions, whichever. Yeah, it isn't going to be an issue. It's going to run as intended. Because that is the reason why these boards are a little bit more expensive, because they've had to invest. Look at the VRM. Seriously, look at it. The VRM is awesome. Well, awesome's probably overplaying it, but you know what I'm trying to say. They've done a good job on this. I'm going to try and pop out the cooler a minute.
So Dutch John says, Mike, Dark Power Pro screws in from the back.
Yeah, it won't work then.
So not compatible with AM5.
No. Incompatible. Unless they were produce some brackets for it.
Sounds
Right.
like Beyonce then. Incompatible.
So there it is. The VRM cooler, to be fair, is actually pretty lightweight. There's not a great deal to it. So it's not going to be the best in terms of cooling. It's not like a big, massive shroud, but it's better than nothing, which you get on quite a few boards. And I'm going to have to stand up again now. My poor back. So if you look at the VRM, that is actually quite impressive. That's a lot of phases there. How many inductors have you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And it's 8 plus 2 plus 2, 10. Yes, that's right. I'm pretty sure the VRM cooler didn't touch all of the chips on there. I'll be honest with you, I don't know a great deal about VRMs and kind of how they work. All I know is that more is generally a better thing. And certainly with this, that's pretty decent. If you look at something like your B450 Tomahawk, for instance, you'd have like up to about there. So you'd have that lot there. So they've added all this extra stuff in. And the B450 Tomahawk was a great board and it overclocked like a champ. So it's going to be interesting to see what this runs like. The thing is, AM5 isn't a overclocking platform. It generally isn't. Unless you go to the extremes of kind of liquid nitrogen, all that kind of crazy stuff. Which way round did that go? Help me out. That way, I think. Did that touch on there? I don't know. I've broken it. Refund. Oh, that's not going to like going back in there.
Des Ducker's internet's only just come on.
Hey, Des Ducker.
All day.
Oh my days, that's horrible. Being without the internet is an awful thing.
I like it.
It's kind of nice if it's like one of those planned outages that you know that it's
Where
like
you go on holiday.
there's not really much you can do about it. Yeah,
It's nice.
but yeah, if you need to have or need to do work or something, it's like, oh god. Right, let's see if I can get this back in here. I could do some light on actually. Some light on the matter. I want them to use screws, please. Can I have some screws? Because these are not nice. Alright, that's in. He's in. The clamps for this heatsink are like the Intel CPU coolers. So they're okay, but they don't always go in very well. Anyway, that's that done. Spooky ghost story. I think I understand how TCP/IP networking works, and hubs and switches and all that kind of stuff. But there's sometimes where there are times when I generally am completely confuddled by it, especially when you get network packet collisions, which in theory on a modern network shouldn't happen, but I've been getting it with increased recurrence, and I think it's because I'm running my TeleWest or my cable modem into my router, and then outputting from my router into a 2.5 gig switch, and I'm then running that switch into other mesh modems, mesh access points. And for some reason, whenever I plug in either Angel's or George's network access point, which is part of the same mesh equipment, it just gets really upset about it, and sometimes it won't do it, but every now and then the light will come on the front of the root of the switch, and it'll say that there's a network collision, and it'll flash the ports. And it's like, so I know it's the same ports every single time it does it, and it's always when I plug it in, but it only seems to be with the mesh that we've got at the moment, the Zytel one. None of the others have done it. Maybe they have, but it hasn't flashed the lights on, so I don't know why it's doing it. And I've given them all their own IP addresses. It should just work. I know that's famous last words, but yes, it should just work, and it really, really doesn't. And it really vexes me why it just makes life hard. And it seems to be something to do with the 2.5 gigabit switch. Whether there's something in that 2.5 gigabit switch that just, I don't know, there's something that works differently. In theory, it should be backwards compatible with gigabit, but yeah. My previous switch didn't have a collision light, so I didn't know if it was collisioning, whether it was crashing. That's the one I was looking for.
Right. Rachel Marvel says, going to be any Amazon Prime deals for PC parts?
Yeah, I'd be amazed if there wasn't deals for PC parts on Amazon. At the moment, I don't know. Normally, because I'm an Amazon affiliate or associate or whatever you want to call it, they normally send us an email saying these items are going to be up for sale. Get your links ready so you can post them. But this year they haven't. Maybe they'll do it on Monday, ready for Tuesday and Wednesday. I honestly don't know. But again, like I said earlier in the stream, I would be very surprised if there wasn't some very good deals on DDR5 memory. DDR4 memory is probably going to be its last big hurrah before it's kind of put out to pasture, or more so than it is now. M.2 drives are always on sale. I think they're going to be probably being on sale once again. So yeah, I don't think power supplies are still ridiculously expensive. I honestly don't know what is going on with power supplies. It's just, yeah, absolutely nuts. I really don't know. Power supplies are, yeah. I don't know. Let me know. Why do you think power supplies are just crazy expensive at the moment? I can't think about what is going on. Am I buffering again?
I think you're alright now.
I think also it doesn't help because our son is streaming as well. He's streaming to Twitch currently. I'm not sure what his bitrate is.
Careful, Popsy.
But what I will do is I will adjust the stream output settings. We'll drop it down a little bit. It should be able to cope with it very easily.
Hugh always looks at how many layers of PCB on a board before I will buy it.
Yeah, PC.
Maybe
well,
that's what you need to add into your.
The trouble is, a lot of manufacturers are very, very cagey about giving information about how many layers. Now, some manufacturers will be great and they'll be like, yeah, it's got a 6-layer PCB or 5-layer PCB, 6, 7, whatever it is. On the more budget boards, it's unlikely they're going to tell you. They may say it's got 2 ounces of copper in it, like separating. They don't always say how many layers, and I don't think you can physically see the layers. Well, I bloody won't because my eyesight's shite. But let's have a look, see if I can ascertain.
Oh yeah, earlier Captain Meat put a question in, asking has anyone played the RoboCop thing? So I don't know about that.
Captain Meat, yeah, RoboCop. Who else?
That was ages ago, so Captain Meat not.
Who has played the RoboCop free demo on Steam? And if you did you enjoy it?
And Andy Archer thinks you're actually an AI Aletta.
Jesus. Right. This motherboard has either no layers, or they're sandwiched together so well that you can't see the individual ones, with or without magnifying glass and or the assistance of other things. How many layers is that?
Can't you look it up?
That might be the easier way. I reckon this is 6 layers personally, because it looks too thick for 4 comparatively. The capacitors for the audio are Elite by brand, but I can't see.
Darlikin Studio.
Exterminate. Here, mate. Exterminate. Wow, you can see the tracks and everything.
It's hardest, and I was meant to be impressed. I didn't realise.
Yeah. I was just going to say, those bloody solder tracks are massive, but it's not. It's just because I got a magnifying glass on. But yeah, I have no idea. LED lights, binding. I have no idea. Does it say on their website? Someone find out.
There's Uggs.
There's Uggs when you need him. He knows everything.
Raleigh?
Hey, where's O'Reilly?
And James.
Yeah.
Who else?
They're making the most of life. Remember life? I think actually there is, I hate to say it, but at the moment the PC industry is depressing as hell. It really is. Like, there's nothing really exciting that says like, I want to buy this, or this is a great price, this is really cool. It's just really stagnant. I've been saying this for ages, there's nothing exciting. Everything's getting more and more expensive, and you're not really getting anything more for your money. Which is like basically killing the market. I really would love to do like an open letter to the PC industry, but they wouldn't take any notice of me anyway. But I can't be the only person that is thinking like, this is crap.
Stuttering.
Stuttering, is it?
I don't know. David Underhill says 6 layer.
6 layer
per PCB. On their website.
Thank you very much. 6 layers. Oh, yeah,
Thanks,
I did buffer again. Is George still streaming? Getting some buffering. Actually, have I lost any frames on here? Right. Well, there's 0 drop frames on OBS. So that's a good sign. But it still seems to be streaming at the high bit rate. Did I not click apply? Outputs for...
When Mike the Mummy came back to life, did he take bad eyes?
Yeah. Right, I started the stream. I stopped the stream and started the stream. See if that's any better. It might be.
Didn't listen to Jay's 2 cents.
No.
He will be dead for the average person in a few years.
It does feel like it. It almost feels like the...
They want mobile devices, like I said years ago to you. The pricing
if you think about it from a shareholder's perspective, like Apple have got the right idea. Because the new Mac Minis, essentially none of it can be worked on. So it's got a finite lifespan.
OBS, mate.
I just did.
Welly Bob.
Yeah. I'll try it. The Matrix is resetting itself. Right, I'll do it again. Stop streaming. Streaming. There we go. And we're back in the room. Is that any better? It probably isn't. Anyway, moving on. You keep stuttering, Mike. Should be alright now. It might be our internet. Sky's getting some buffering. Stuart's getting some buffering. Welly Bob's getting some buffering. It's weird because it says that OBS says it isn't, so it must be something through our internet. I've rebooted. I've restarted, I guess.
For ages.
Bless your heart.
Seems fine now.
Excellent stuff. Sarden says, I agree, market is shit. He didn't say that, but that's what it is.
It's your voice that's stuttering, Mike.
Is it? Oh no.
Maybe it's just Mike. Kath sounds okay. Is your mic charged?
Good point. Yes, I appear to have multiple bars. Honestly, is it still stuttering?
Not so much the picture. Is that... It's just Mike. Kath sounds okay. Not so much the picture of me.
Right, let's put that there. Wonder if it's getting interference from the power supply or something.
Maybe Belly's going over it.
Alright, I'll turn this off and I'll turn this back on again. But then it can't. It's your voice that's stuttering.
Tagged you on HUK just now for a new HDMI cable. Haha.
Oh, thanks, Sarda. Hopefully that's working now. William Bodie says my router did just turn off for an update. Oh dear.
Damp squid mic.
I don't know, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Am I stuttering? Do I need rebooting? I probably do need rebooting. But yeah, I think the PC industry in general at the moment, like I said, like with Apple, the shareholders, they understand that in order to maintain their constant stream of income, you can't just keep on expecting people to upgrade their computer or laptop or whatever every couple of years without kind of having to. So by doing the slightly unethical thing of soldering on the RAM, soldering on the hard drives into modern Macs, they are not user serviceable. Now, of course, you can plug in an external SSD or something, that's absolutely fine. But the chances that you buy a Mac Mini or a Mac Pro or whatever, the chances of it still performing as you want it to after 2, 3, 4 years is slightly unlikely, I would say. So you are going to get to the point sooner where you need to replace the entire machine rather than just upgrading the RAM, which previously would have been possible, or just upgrading the hard drive, which is impossible on both models, which is really an unfortunate thing to do. But Apple have understood that computer technology and the whole kind of the meat grinder of income, constant revenue, pleasing the shareholders and all that, they know ultimately that it isn't about pleasing customers, it's about pleasing the shareholders. And shareholders are what keep a company afloat, believe it or not customers. So it's a very unfortunate thing that computers, basically everything now is designed with a failure date in mind. They call it planned obsolescence. And in theory, a lot of countries and governments have tried to outlaw it or ban it. For us in the UK, there's a lot of companies now who sell white goods. So that's things like your fridge freezers, washing machines, tumble dryers, that kind of stuff. They have to guarantee that they'll supply spare parts within reason for the goods they sell for a period of time. I'm not sure exactly how long it is. I think it's at least a minimum of 5 years, but it could be longer. I haven't looked into it, but
really, you'd expect these things to last longer than 5 years.
Well, that's the point. You would expect those things to have a longer lifespan, but as with always, when most of us are shopping, like Sarden, for instance, his basic goal in life is to find deals all day long. And I'm in a very similar boat. I look for things which are cheap or are good value for money. Now, in order to get good value for money, there's obviously going to be a balance. You have to look at the balance. There's going to be quality on one side, and there's going to be kind of longevity, parts, all that kind of stuff. It's all part of that mix. So you can have something which is super cheap. It might be brilliant, but it might not last. Or you can have something which is quite expensive. It's going to use better components, and it's going to have a longer lifespan, at least hopefully. So you have to kind of take that into consideration. But the market in general, or at least the bulk of the market, is more or less tailored towards the most kind of the cheapest possible outcome. So what is the cheapest possible way we can make this product so we can make maximum profit? That's what businesses are doing. They kind of always have done to some extent. Now there's some companies which don't, and they deliberately have a name for being extremely high quality but still charging reasonable prices. But again, they are very much the kind of minority. A lot of companies, if they make a premium product, they just charge a premium price. Simple as. So yeah, going back to what I was saying, all products are getting more expensive to build, design, make, more complicated. Like, look at this. This isn't effectively an entry-level motherboard. It's super complicated. It's got pretty much everything you could ever want on there, apart from like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and stuff like that. But other than that, it's pretty much, it's relatively future-proof. But if you compared this with a budget board from AM4 and a similarly priced AM4 processor, the chances are if you ran the two systems side by side, you would never know which one is which. Except this one is going to be more expensive and possibly less reliable.
And die sooner.
And that is ultimately what it's come to. So most people that are watching this video now have probably upgraded their computer in the last 2 to 3 years, maybe more. And you'll probably agree with me in saying that your upgrade was, although it was expensive, possibly didn't give you that stellar jump in performance that you wanted or expected for the money that you paid out. Quite often these days, most upgrades or rebuilds are almost known as a side grade. So you're changing platform to another platform, but you're not getting that increase. You're basically kind of staying the same, but you're modernizing your platform. And that is a very common thing. But for a PC enthusiast like myself, and possibly like you as well, there's only so many times that you're going to do a side grade before you think, actually, why the heck am I doing this? This makes zero sense. Now, like I said again previously, there are going to be people that just enjoy the process of building a PC, speccing the parts, doing the whole build, installing Windows, getting it all up and running. And you enjoy doing that and you don't mind paying the money, so you can actually do that. Much like any other hobby. If you like fishing, you buy your expensive fishing gear, you go fishing, you're catching the same fish, you're just using more expensive stuff to do it with, and you change your stuff. Photographers, exactly the same deal. You're still taking pictures, they might be in focus better, but ultimately it's the same footage or the same pictures, but you're paying more for it. And with PC stuff, you normally expect there to be that bump in performance. You've paid out your money, you've probably lost money on your old stuff because you've sold it on and it's lost its value because people want the newer stuff. And then you realise that the stuff you've sold is probably kind of similar performance anyway. And yeah, there is definitely a part of me which really struggles with the current economy and pricing of all this stuff, and trying to make up like content which actually makes sense to do. Like buying this motherboard was a really hard thing for me to do. It's taken me weeks to finally get to the point where it's like, do I, don't I? I still don't really see the value in this, other than the fact that it might have a little bit more longevity. But that in itself is debatable. Whether they change to another socket, I don't know. They might do. Let's have a look, see what your thoughts are.
Let's pack it all in and do a cat channel.
Yeah.
Hey, Pops. You wouldn't be much good, would you, Flamey? I'm too tired.
David Underhill says AM4 motherboard, CPU and RAM equals AM5 motherboard alone. It's not far off.
Stuart, the same. Ours is at 18, isn't it? 2000.
Yeah. Yeah, Stuart says my LG American style fridge is now 18 years old.
But it's the same model.
Oh no, I've jinxed it. It might be a simple... Yeah, ours is the LG American style one in brushed aluminium style. And the front panel door is all rusted out.
I don't think it has a model number on it.
So on the inside, if you open the door.
Which one?
Which one? Flash bastard.
GRL20.
GRL20. 7QUJA. 7QUJA. Nick Barnes, question, are you planning to pair CPU motherboard in terms of case?
What are you planning to pair?
Well, that is ultimately going to be the question. I'm really hoping that I can get a Ryzen 5 7500F in the sale. If not, I'm just going to order one from eBay. They're hard to come by from retailers because technically they're an OEM only. So most retailers can't sell them without selling them with a motherboard, which some have. I don't need a motherboard, so I won't buy it like that. But yeah, 7500F I think makes a massive ton of sense. 65 watt processor. It doesn't have integrated graphics, which is fine because AM5 graphics is absolute dog shit. So it's basically you're paying money for something which is useless, really is useless. If I can get one for about £150, which is what I'm hoping it will be, for £150 a 7500F is very powerful. And if I'm probably maybe slightly wrong, but I'm pretty sure it will be as fast, if not faster, than a 5800X. 5800X. Maybe a 5700X, which normally are about 160 to 180. So it should be better. Stuart says, how old is your LG fridge, Mike? No rust on mine at all in 18 years. Well, ours is because we've got that dispenser on the front. The water used to get in behind the dispenser, an ice cube dispenser, and it rushes from the outside, yeah.
Tray, because the tray
is wrecked.
fills up.
William Bodie says, question, is there any AM4 board that uses DDR5? No. And can an AM4 be as fast as AM5? Well, yeah, that is the point of the kind of the bone of contention. AM4, because it's using DDR4, which is inherently a lower latency, whereas DDR5 has more frequency, more bandwidth, but less, has more latency built into it. So in terms of speed, an AM4 system can feel snappier in operation, but when you actually come to tax the system, that's when the AM5 or DDR5 system really comes into its own, because it's got more bandwidth to play with. For some things it doesn't help, for some things it does. It's very much swings and roundabouts. Well, I found it difficult to work out. I had 3 systems at the same time running. I had a 3900X, a 5800X, and the 7600X, all running at the same time, and honestly I could not tell the difference between them. They all performed basically identically. I couldn't tell the difference without actually looking at the system computer or looking at device manager. They were essentially the same in terms of benchmarks, the whole lot. All of them, I think they all scored roughly the same sort of points. So yeah, it was a really kind of like, So I've gone from 3rd gen Ryzen to 4th gen Ryzen to 5th gen Ryzen, and they all basically are the same. Although they were all kind of like one step down. So I went from a 3900X, which then became a 5800X. So that's a Ryzen 7 rather than a Ryzen 9. And then I went to a Ryzen 5 7600. So I've stepped down a tier, but the prices have kind of stayed the same, and the performance has stayed the same. So it's kind of like, it's almost like pointless. You might as well just kept what I had in the first place. So yeah. Yes, it was, it's a very bizarre thing. Skystalker says, I like the fact new AM5 chips have basic graphics, so you can build a basic system cheaply and add the graphics card when you want to game, as long as it can do 4K video, all good. I think it can do just about. I think it struggles at 4K video, although saying that, the onboard graphics does support H.265 and H.264 decoding and AV1, I think, on chip. So it's actually, codec wise, it's alright. But it's only got, I think it's got 2 cores, whereas like the Ryzen 2200G, 3200G, I'm pretty sure they were like Vega 7 or Vega 8, so they had 8 cores. So it's a very, very big step backwards from those. You can't play games on them at all. Well, you might be able to. I've not even tried, I don't think it's even worth it.
Did you have to say about that Robocop thing anymore?
Oh yeah, did anyone mention it?
I think Rick did.
Yeah, quickly going back to that, the Robocop Rogue City trailer, or trial version, which is available on Steam. I was actually quite impressed with it. It's running on the Unreal 5 engine, so it looks and feels really nice. And if you're a fan of Robocop movies, then you will definitely enjoy it. The voice acting is actually quite good. It's quite atmospheric. It's a little bit, I wouldn't say it's monotonous, but it gives you the feeling of a slightly more enclosed world, but I think that's because it's a demo, so you can't go anywhere you want to. You can't just jump in your car and drive somewhere. You are just basically stomping around the streets, which is still very good fun. And there are like side quests doing all that kind of stuff. I think they've done a very good job. And the I'm trying to think what the gun is called. There's a name for the guns, like the Pro 9 or something, or Tech 9, whatever it is. It's a modified weapon anyway in RoboCop. But they've actually managed to capture the noise and the feel of the original gun from RoboCop very well with that kind of rapid triple fire burst mode. It's yeah, it feels pretty good. It's a good game in general. I was gonna buy it on the pre-order, but previous games have kind of almost taught me that that's a bad idea. Like the demo they give you, I think I played it for probably 2 hours or so, and that's supposed to be like the first 3 chapters of the game or something. So depends how good it's going to be long term.
Like 2 Point Hospital was rubbish.
Yeah,
I thought we got the whole game for that.
I think it's overall it's a good game. It's been executed very well. It's all been done in a very nice kind of 80s-y kind of cinematic way. So it looks right, it sounds right. The graphics are great in it, because obviously Unreal 5 engine. So yeah, I think it's good. Des Ducker says, I found RoboCop a bit repetitive. Yeah, the kind of the running around doing the same thing, it does get that. I found early on, going through the first level, it was like, well, this is a bit drudgery. But then as the quests started opening up to find other things and do investigations, then I found myself getting more into it, and the story started to widen a bit. And where it ended is like, oh, I did want to play more. So I was tempted to get it, but I probably won't. I think it's a lot of money for what it is. But yeah, just mention it. It is free, so if you're bored and you've got nothing to do and you want to try it, it's on Steam. I think it's about 13 gigabyte download, something along those lines. But yeah, it's a free trial for the foreseeable. Ricardo, I wanted to upgrade from the FX 6300 to a Ryzen 5 2600. Prices in 2021 were very high. Sadly, had to go with the Intel Core i5 10400. I think the 10400 is probably better than the 2600. I think the 10400 is actually better than the 3600. Nick Barnes says the graphics on Counter-Strike 2 are impressive compared with the previous CSGO. Yeah, actually Counter-Strike 2, I've been playing that as well. I actually find, like, I've been playing Counter-Strike now since 1998, I think. Maybe 97? Could be 97. 97, 98 for sure. And I did find, up until the release of Counter-Strike 2, I did find it very, very boring, because you go into a game and normally I'd be just in a server full of either Eastern Europeans or something. I'm not sure what language they were talking, but they were all like super good, and the game was very short for me. It didn't last at all, and it's always like, well, where the hell did that come from? Whereas I think now with Counter-Strike 2, it seems a lot more balanced. Like, I'm not very good, but I have found, even with my limited skill set against some of these other people that are on there, that I'm kind of winning matches, rescuing hostages, getting a couple of kills in, generally kind of in the mid-range of the table of the players. Whereas previously I'd always be basically at the bottom, unless I got super lucky. So I think it seems more balanced at the moment, which is great, obviously. It looks much nicer, and I think it plays nicer as well. It's less kind of, I don't know. I suppose it's that old school look, which at the time when it came out was fantastic, but it hasn't aged amazingly. But I think now with the new engine, it does look much better. And it's quite enjoyable as well. And the frame pacing, which it suffered with when it first came out, seems to, well, at least last night when I played it, didn't seem to have any pacing issues at all. So yeah, that's good. Des Ducker says Robocop is $25.99 on CD keys. That's not too bad.
Any bloopers while truck fan was gone?
I'm not sure. I don't think there was. Was there?
Stuttering, wasn't there?
There was camera stuttering. Yes.
No voice, your voice.
It all went a bit wrong.
Dan Forbes.
Dan Forbes, you did a live build in a white case that Bob sent you. I have the black one. It's a nice case.
White cube case.
White cube case. Which was that?
I don't know. I was thinking that. He hasn't sent you many white ones, has he?
I'm trying to think what that would have been.
The only one I can think of is it that V1, whatever that was. But that was
No,
like
it wasn't
black,
that, no.
that was like,
I can't remember what case that was. Was it an Ions? I think so, wasn't it? David Nerdle says, I deleted CSGO and Counter-Strike 2. Too many cheaters. Yeah, I think that's going to be one of those things. I didn't notice it so much in CS2. In CSGO, it definitely felt like there were a lot of cheaters. Or they were doing something which just made their aim and their response time like ridiculously good. Like aim bots or something. I don't know. I think there was measures that Valve used to kind of ban that sort of stuff, but like anything, there's people that are going to make these things and they're going to work until they're found out and then they'll get banned. So, yeah. In a weird accent asks, what is a good RT showcase that isn't Cyberpunk? Minecraft RT. That's probably a good one. Ray tracing games. Modern Warfare? I think that was one. I'm honestly not sure. I'm not really a big fan of ray tracing. I'm not even sure if actually Fortnite is quite good.
Spider-Man looks good with RT on.
Oh yeah, Spider-Man probably would, yeah. I've not played that. Oh, that was going right in. I'm not driving you to hospital.
Good anyway.
Sky says, I will try out the new Robocop demo. Miss the days when most games had a demo and you could do a play before you buy. Especially if you had a system that was close to minimum specs. Yeah, I remember the days of buying the PC magazines with the games on the front on floppy disks. Yep, I am that old. Stuart Clary says, is that the advantage of consoles? No cheaters? I'm not sure if that is the thing. Whether or not you can cheat on a console or not, I don't know if you can.
The case looks a bit like the one behind you.
Ugly Bob bought a case and it was white.
Where's Ugly Bob when you need him?
Here, where is Ugly Bob? I have to find out what that is. Rick says, yeah, I'm going to go try out the new Robocop demo. To be honest with you, Robocop would be excellent. What they should do is do a Robocop online multiplayer. So you get one person can play as Robocop, one person can play as oh god, what was his female companion in the movie?
Catwoman?
No. Lewis. Someone could play as Lewis, and then you'd have like a bad guy on the other side and like loads and loads of criminals.
I was thinking of Spider-Man still.
Yeah, but you could that would be a really good thing, and you could have like 100 different criminals all in the city, and Robocop and Lewis, and you could have like police backup like you do in Need for Speed games, where you could call in for a road strip or helicopter support or roadblock. You could probably do the same thing in Robocop to make it to try and balance things up a little bit, like call in a helicopter strike or something. I think that would make it very interesting. And it's one of those games where you could potentially have a massive map because it runs on the Unreal 5 engine. You could have a really, really big, nice map. Loads of places to hide out and set up traps and all that kind of stuff. David Underhill says, when I play games, I don't have much time to look at RT graphics. Too busy shooting uglies. Yeah. I agree, actually. Truck fan's going to be back in 10 minutes. We're counting. Inward Access says, well, Mike, I think there is a controller attachment that gives you aimbot. What,
for chucking bananas in your mouth?
I want one. Oh, right, so it is a thing. Cronus Zen is another device. I'd have never even thought about it. Aletta says, I'm still loving GTA 5 Online, even though it just turned 10 years old. GTA 5, I bought it, and I never liked it. I didn't like the control setup at all. I like a control setup that they've got in Counter-Strike. For me, that is perfect. It's very simplistic, but it's very easy to move around. It felt very natural. Fortnite is close in a lot of respects. But yeah, GTA 5, it just seems is designed for controller rather than a keyboard and mouse.
Dual dynamic gaming cube ions.
Ah, damn, for dual dynamic. Did Bob get that? Dual dynamic gaming cube ions.
I think you did get one.
I think I've still got that under there. Yeah, dual dynamic advanced. Dual dynamic gaming cube. No, I don't know, I don't think so. I've got the KZZ here still, not the KZV.
That wasn't a stutter.
Yeah, it wasn't a stutter.
James Miscellaneous.
James Miscellaneous, hey! Hey gang, just gaming with my son all day. Get the Robocop download. Show him what the 80s were like. Skystalker says my MSI monitor has a cheat feature on it. It will draw a tiny targeting reticle on the screen for me. Not sure it's really a benefit. I haven't tried it in game. Now it does work really well. If you put that on in games like Counter-Strike, Counter-Strike 2, especially if you used any of the sniping weapons, because normally when you're running, you don't know where it's aiming at all. There's nothing on the screen. It's not until you actually get it up and you go into the sights mode, you see where it's aiming. So having the crosshair means you can do basically no scope headshots, which is amazing and very hard to do. Nick Barnes' question, have you reviewed any steering wheels for PC? Had one decades ago, but it was garbage. Fancy one for driving games and struggle with gamepad or keyboard. Truthfully, I don't like PC steering wheels. The whole thing of PC sim racing, I don't think... Obviously it is a niche and it works for a lot of people, but I just don't get it. Like if you want to drive a car, just go and drive a car. If you want to play computer games, play computer games. I find it really hard to crossover because you can never get that sensory feedback that you get from a car in a sim. It's just the technology isn't there yet, at least not in such a way that it is affordable. Like when you're driving a car, a normal car, if you go around a corner and you're going a little bit too fast, you can feel the front wheels like about to go before they go. Whereas in a sim, you don't have that tactile feedback, so you don't get that feeling of inertia and the way your body feels and all that kind of stuff because you're just sat still. And until they can replicate that in some way, I think sim racing has got a lot of catching up to do. Now it's really cool because it's like you can sit in a sim racer, some of them move around, some of them got a bit of force feedback, or You've got some friction in the pedals or force feedback in the steering wheel, which is it's cool, it's nice. But it isn't, people call it sim racing, but it isn't a simulation at all. It's just an electronic steering wheel in a...
It's like the Wii controller as a tennis bat.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's effectively the Wii controller as a tennis bat. You don't get any of that feedback from a tennis racket when you hit it and you feel the tension and all that kind of stuff, or the flexing of it and the noise.
And the same without
yeah, it's very good, and I know that there's a lot of people enjoy it. But for me, I think it's just, I wouldn't invest money in it myself because I think it's just not.
Did they have a golf bat?
Not close enough. Yeah. But it's very good. I've used a couple of force feedback steering wheels over my years, and some of them have been very good. But it's one of those things that there's only a handful of games that they work really well on.
And it's also finding the chair and the setup.
Yeah,
to go on
if you've got the room for it, you've got a dedicated chair, you've got the wraparound monitors, the pedals and all that kind of stuff. I'd imagine it's an absolute blast, and especially if you're doing it competitively online with friends, or like Glenn, who's on our channel. I'm imagining he must have an amazing setup because he does like the 24-hour things where they all swap over driving and take turns and stuff, and it's like super competitive, and they have an absolute blast, and they raise money for charity and stuff, and there is a massive following behind it. But I think if you're just an individual at home in front of your PC and you've got this thing like snapped onto your desk, I think most people they use it for a little bit and then they get sick of it being in the way all the time because they haven't got enough room, and it just goes back into a box and then goes on Facebook Marketplace for like a third of the buying price because everyone else is doing the same thing. So yeah, I don't know. William says, yeah, they get there when you're 64. They probably will. Sorden says the G28 steering wheel is excellent. Don't get me wrong, I think they've done a really good job, and some of them are super realistic, especially like the ones that use Momo steering wheels and stuff. Now, I used to sell Momo steering wheels in the 90s when they were like super popular. So I know what they're like, and yeah, some of them are like so accurate, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. Not for me.
Dave Aiken, a road driving sim. Did you read it?
No, I love that. James Michelin says, happy to see Mike snacking and just kicking back. I certainly am. Nice to see you in the stream as well. Sardin, yeah, roll on Call of Duty sim. That would be awesome. Or a CS Counter-Strike sim. There was years ago, I saw there was a simulation software. There, you stood in the middle of this kind of circle and it had almost like a treadmill on the bottom underneath you, but the treadmill went in like all directions. So if you walked that way, you would walk that way in the game. And as you spun round, your gun would, and your head as well. So you had like 3 directions of travel. So you could walk one way, have your gun facing one way, and have your head facing another. So that was like really accurate, but I'd never know if that actually came to market or not. Don't think it did. Hello, George.
Hello. Got lemon sherbets there.
Flame banana, do you want the last one?
Yeah, please.
Chuck the packet with him.
Thank you.
Should we get that big tin of minstrels down that you've got?
Yeah, George has got a big old fat ass tin of minstrels. He buys a pack of minstrels every week at shopping and puts them in this big tin. I'm pretty sure he's keeping them for us for Christmas. That'd be awesome.
We guessed your secret, didn't we, George?
Yeah.
William Bodie says hi to George.
Hello. Wait. Sorry?
William Bodie.
William Bodie.
Hello, Will.
Don't know if you can hear that over the noise of him opening his Ryvita packet. Ivory Wolfman says, imagine soldiers going to war with a keyboard and mouse. Hold on, they do already. Drones. Yeah, pretty much. James Miscellaneous says that his health has improved overall since we met and just keeps improving since the near death. Well, anything better than near death is a good thing in my books. Keep up the good work, mate. Skystalker says, wow, awesome for Glenn. We'll have to watch it sometime. Yeah, next time that Glenn does the 24-hour Le Mans, or whatever they're doing the 24-hour on. I think it's the Le Mans track they use it on, or they do it on. Normally, he will post a link in our Discord. So if you're a member of the Discord, you'll see it. If not, if you go to... Glenn, if you're in the chat, can you post the link to your website or whatever is the best way of people finding that? Then you can see it. It's actually very cool. And you can listen to them drive in, and they've got like the real-time voiceovers and stuff. Don't get me wrong, I said it is very cool, and the way it all works, the hardware, the software. It must be a really hard thing to do, to have like multiple people all around the world, all racing at the same time on the same track, and without kind of the internet skipping and people moving around and like cars ghosting and what have you. The technology must be amazing. David Aiken says the real driving sim needs to include taxiing the car, looking for a stereo code after a battery change, mouldy wipers, and a yearly MOT. And don't forget range anxiety as well, looking for the next charging point and or petrol station. Keith McAllister says, can't beat a bit of Quake 3 from a sad 60-year-old.
James is off again.
James Miscellaneous was playing Quake 3 the other day. I was watching that. He's quite good as well. I haven't played that for bloody years. Cheers, James. Lexar says, Mike, check out the sim racing system that Cookie has on her YouTube channel, Cookie and Cars. She's a pro rally driver in real life, and she's easy on the eyes. I will try to. If I search cookies in cars, is that going to bring up some weird shit? Irie says the cheapest wheel right now is close to €700, and that's just the wheel, pedal and chassis. Might as well buy a cheap car. Yeah, that's kind of it. That's where I'm kind of coming from. You could pick up like a battered old, I don't know, what did I see for sale today? Oh, there was an old 3 Series BMW 323 or 325i for about £600-700, which you could just take somewhere like Castle Coombe Racetrack or something and have an absolute blast, or just go up and down the country lanes or something. I'm sure there's going to be places where you could take it which aren't necessarily 100% legal, but it'd be fun. Although saying that, obviously sim racing, if you crash, it's far less disastrous, so there is that to it. Truck fan, have you had a PSU go bang? Yes, when I worked at M Squared Computers, quite often computers would come in and they say the computer wouldn't power up, and I plug it in, turn it on, first thing I do, press the power button, and bang, power supply gone. Stuart says, imagine how fecked we would be if the internet went down, which it will, I think. We really do rely on it so much. Yeah, I think it's the net neutrality bill is raising its ugly head again. So the internet is likely to change in some respects. Yeah.
It's like it in the chip shop last night, wasn't it? Like where that card machine won't work.
Yeah, we went to the chip shop yesterday in Downend. Good Fridays is called. Nice place actually. And they're trying to put through a card payment, and they're like, oh, sorry, yes, our internet's not working very well. And yeah, it's like a lot of people rely on it to make payments. So if the internet doesn't work, yeah, what do you do? If the internet goes down, or there's power cut or whatever, how do you live your life? How do you pay for things? How do you buy things? You can imagine that there's going to be a lot of shops that, well, I work in a shop on a weekend, so I know exactly what it's like. If the internet goes down, or if there's a power outage, which there can be, immediately you just get the key for the till, open up, and you do it manually, and you write down every transaction, And when the internet comes back on, you type all the stuff back in and produce all the receipts and stuff. But there's going to be a lot of places where they rely just on card payments, and they're going to be screwed because they'll be like, I can't do the cash thing.
Lord Erectus is in.
Very strange. Anyway, Lord Erectus, how you doing, sir? Lord Erectus is not normally in this time of day. Must have got up early. Must have pooed the bed.
Late.
Or late, yeah, whichever.
Is it late? No, it's early, isn't it? Because David Underhill's
Truck fan, have you had a PC part spill? Well, PC parts generally don't tend to be made of fluid. I did take apart an AIO and it did spill. But that isn't really...
It wasn't his fault, it was the bloody AIO's fault.
It was it was my fault.
This effing thing.
Alexa says I raced with a Logitech Q920 wheel and it's a lot of fun. Colin Hilton says I got the custom yoke made quadrant and rudder pedals for Microsoft Flight Sim. Put them back in the boxes, can't get used to them. I know what you mean. Skystalker ages ago sent us over the Logitech Flight Stick Pro, I think it's called. So we could use it on Microsoft Flight Sim. Now, to be fair, I don't use Microsoft Flight Sim as much as I'd like to. But I did actually find using it was great for accuracy, but if I just wanted to sit down and quickly just mess around, a joystick was far easier. But I guess that's life in general, isn't it? Console gaming, pick up a joystick. It's good fun. If you want to play a game like in more detail, keyboard and mouse or proper rudder, etc. Truck fan says, back on the old role-playing server I played on, we had maintenance expenses, MOTs and insurance. Awesome. Irie Wolfman says, I remember an arcade driving game from 30 years ago. You had to start the car and drive, use indicators and not crash. It was quite hard but fun. I think I vaguely remember that. 30 years, actually no, if it's 30 years ago it probably wasn't. There was one called Hard Driving, I think that was way earlier. There was probably one after that. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. We had to start the engine and you had to indicate and stuff. I can't think what it was called then. Oh, scroll too much. Where do we get to? Lord Erectus, good. Yes, thanks. I'm up early today.
And he hadn't bumped the bed.
No poops.
Watching the sunrise.
Oh, amazing.
We don't see much sun here this year.
Yeah, we watched the smog rise. Truck fan, question, have you had a thermal paste mess spillage? No, it's just the way my trousers hang. Skystalker says the Logitech Flight Stick is much easier to use. It has a twist for rudder, saves you buying pedals. Yeah, it is. When it comes to the rudder, actually, yeah, that is a really good thing. You do have to use it a little bit though to get the muscle memory, because if you're used to playing like video games, that kind of rudder action, you're used to like flicking around left or right quite a lot. But yeah, when you're why is that all highlighted? Don't highlight. Go away. Oh, it's all gone. It's all gone wrong. Yeah, when you flick around, you don't really want to do that because you want to have the rudder. You want to be nice and gentle with. So it needs. I think it needs a bit more resistance on it, or for me to be less heavy-handed, maybe. David Under says, in Queensland, no MOTs or yearly inspections as long as you still own the car. Just renew Rego online or over the counter at the post office. That's pretty cool. Colin's bought the Microsoft Flight Sim for Dummies book. Seriously, Colin, you and Skystalker need to hook up, because Skystalker taught me basically how to fly a plane to some extent. I kind of had a little bit of a grasp of some of the controls, but yeah, knowing things like your airspeed and the flap positions and all that kind of stuff, and how the instrumentation works. Once you get that in your head a little bit, it does make life a lot easier. Lord Rector's got a wire on the roof to help get the mub show. Oracle Man 1 says a Fanatec bundle, base, wheel and pedals right now is €399, so not quite accurate. Yes, the trouble is with the Fanatec bundle is it basically, if you live in the European areas, the chances are it will never turn up.
Or postage is ridiculous.
Well, no, not even that. It's Caradog was talking today on Graham's stream on Adamant IT. He's just bought a Fanatec bundle, and it's been, was it August, September, 2 months, and it still hasn't arrived, and he's got to the point where he's actually had to do a chargeback because they said it had been dispatched and all sorts and it never turned up. So generally bad service, and it seems that on the Fanatec Reddit or subreddit there is a lot of people complaining about the same thing. So it sounds like Fanatec, the American side of things is fine, but the European side is having serious issues with stock allocation and actually getting stuff out to people. Keith McAllister used to love tinkering with the old Triumph 2000 automatic, simpler times. I don't think there's anything simple about a Triumph 2000 automatic. The belts and stuff in there, oh my lord. And getting rid of the old burnt fluid and replacing it. Triumph 2000, what a great car. Truck fan, what are your favourite PC part boxes to display? I like displaying CPU part boxes. I think CPUs are good, and also they're quite small as well. I used to like the old Radeon graphics card boxes. They used to be great, but they've changed quite a lot recently. Truck fan, fun fact, one of the strangest items in my possession is a 1 centimeter cube of titanium. Well, I actually have 3 cubes, one of which is not titanium. Actually, none of them are titanium. One is green speckly shit, the other is some other shit, and that, I don't know what that is, but it cost me about 15 quid. Fortunately, we opened them on a stream, so we claim them as a business expense, and they are set dressing, because they are living there. So technically they are set dressing, so can be claimed taxes. Aletta, rules of flying. Take off is optional, landing is not. Yeah, that's very, very true. Hello, J Rich. Truck fan, you got some mad questions, you lunatic. Least favourite PC part packaging to open. Intel CPUs. Their packaging is horrible. The clamshell inside of some origami cardboard nonsense is just ridiculous. I actually hate opening that a lot. That is one of my least favourites. Other than that, I would say Corsair. What's the brand? I can't see what they are from here. The SP120 RGB Pro. I'm going to get one out now just to show you. Alright. No, I actually know. No, because I always... getting them out is fine, it's putting them away. I cannot package those things back up to save my life. I always say, Kath, can you do it? Alright. Well, I don't like opening them because I dread having to unopen or not open. Probably memory and SSDs, stuff like that. M.2 drives are always a pain because you open up the clamshell and you try and lever them out of the plastic, and they've got so much flex to them. You just think, oh, is it going to break before it comes out? But yeah, they're generally okay. Lord Erectus says the 13500 CPU sold out over there. Well, the 14500 should be out, what, next week? Week after?
Rick's Intel again.
Hmm?
You're bashing Rick's Intel again.
Am I? Oh, sorry, Rick. I am bashing. Look, literally, I'm going to show you because this is just the most hideous packaging. Right. So first of all, when you put it back, you can't get this to line up at all, where it's supposed to display the serial number and the processor and the part. So you got all this nonsense going on. You got all this origami, bizarro stuff going on, so you can kind of fit that back in there. That isn't too bad. That sort of does live in there okay-ish. So that works there. But the way that the CPU is put in there, it's kind of like rammed into this cardboard.
This bottle of physics.
I don't know, like, that is supposed to be visible from there. Like, you're supposed to see that top part so retailers can double check that it is right. But I don't know how you get it back in there because that must be there. So that has got to go in through there. But unless you rip the cardboard, it doesn't fit there. So you can only see half of it. If you turn it around the other way, actually there is a ledge there. I wonder if that goes through somewhere. Come on, you bastard. So I don't get it. So it never works for me. I give up. Can't see it. Cheers, Dan. Anyway. Oh, and then I've forgotten to put that in there. Hello, Dom. Bless you. We will be wrapping up. So any last minute questions, get them in now. This is the 5-minute warning. Because my throat is starting to go. Truck fan, I think I've answered that. Mike's reboxing, definitely. Nick Barnes, which ATX case would you favour? It depends what price point. At various price points, there's some really, really very cool cases. But yeah, it depends what price range you're looking at. The hardest one, I would say, in terms of pricing, is the £100 mark. That's a really, really difficult one because there's a lot of competition, and also depends what it is you actually want from a case. It's a really hard price point. Stuart says you need beer, Mike. Beer is the devil's stuff. Lord Rectus, what do you use to make your bald head smooth, Mike? I use shaving. That's basically it. I shave it. That is it. A little bit of coconut oil every now and then. Nick Barnes says £60. Ooh. £60 computer case. That is a hard one now. There's a couple of nice entries from Montech that I would probably look at. The KZZ from Ions. If you like the kind of Lian Li look, I think that's definitely worth checking out. Other than that, there's going to be some of the old favourites. Obviously, the GameMax F15 Mesh. That's kind of got to be on your list. Otherwise, the Lian Li 215, if you can pick one up for that sort of money, that would be great. But they're generally a little bit more expensive than that. Super chat come in from Stuart Cleary. €20. Bless your heart, sir. Says, thanks, Mike and Kath. The coolest couple on the internet. That's, yeah.
There was no one else.
the coolest couple on the internet in Mike's house. You should add that bit on the end. GameMax Spark, yeah, that's also a good one.
Until George joins up his one.
Yeah. Yeah, the GameMax Spark is actually a good shout as well. The Asus AP201, if you can get it for that money, is also worth a shout. I would probably go and not say the Johnsbow D41 or D31. I just think they're a little bit too cramped in the back. If they're a little bit wider, I think they'd be perfect. But there's just a little bit too less. Yeah, Montech do have some really nice cases. It's a shame that Montech don't do more here in the UK. Or at least have more of a presence in terms of marketing, because there's some really good options, but we don't really see a great deal. Get the odd YouTube channel which covers them, but not many places seem to have them in stock, or at least if they do, they don't have them at like sensible pricing, which is a real shame. Truck fan, have you had a drive or a memory card go out? Yes, many times. Yeah, that's always a really disappointing thing. Red Mist was one of my favourites, which died a death. I still have Red Mist, and there's a reason why Red Mist is called Red Mist. This was a drive which I actually stood on, so that was a blooper as well. And
then you vacuumed it up.
then I vacuumed it up. So this has been in my work vacuum, in my old job. And I was thinking, well, it's an empty shell now. What can I do with it? So I got the glue gun, the hot glue gun, and basically covered it with hot glue. But one of the side effects of this is there was an LED on there which you couldn't see before. So now when you plug it in, you actually get a nice red glow, which hopefully won't kill the computer. Ah, that might have been why the sound was going mad, because I had both microphones plugged in.
Duh.
Ha! Oh dear. There's Red Mist flashing away. Oh, uh-oh, that didn't sound good.
We have now loaded up all your porn.
Red Mist, I even called it Red Mist. It says, choose what you want this drive to do. So I think it's empty. But yeah, it glows red, as you can probably just about see, hopefully.
How many times have you cut yourself while building a PC, and when did you notice it happened less often?
I think it changed. There was a definite sway in PC manufacturing where I think softer metals were started to be used, and with the use of softer metals, it allowed them to make more bends in the metal. If you're using like steel or some kind of alloy that's really strong, it's hard to bend it, whereas when you're using more flexible aluminium and stuff like that, it's very easy to bend the lips around, so you don't have to go so crazy on the manufacturing to do it. I think that was when cases got cheaper, they became less dangerous. Some of the old ones were really terrible. So yeah, I've cut myself many times. But there was I think it was when, probably around the same time as tempered glass side panels. Around that sort of time, I think, is when I noticed getting less injured. William Bodie says, fun fact, mist means damn in German. Interesting. I have red damn. There's a super chat coming in from our good friend Sky Stalker. 10 Canadian dollars, and says, great stream, Mike and Kath. Happy Thanksgiving in Canada, October the 9th. Oh, happy Thanksgiving. That's early, isn't it? Well, it's not, because obviously that's when you have your Thanksgiving, but yeah, that does seem... So this must be the holiday weekend then, I guess? Yeah, so we a bank holiday Monday? And the 10th, maybe? I don't know. No truck fan. I've not so far had a glass panel break on me, fortunately.
Don't know how, eh?
Nice one, Des. Right. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to all of our Canadian viewers. Right, I think that's going to be it for this evening stream. It's 11:10, so that's almost 3 hours. Where does the time go?
Truck fan, last question.
Go on, truck fan. Question isn't me, or do other people call the back of a case the engine room or the kerfuffle zone?
You were like that, weren't you?
Kerfuffle zone. I've not really heard it called that, but I might use that.
If that's okay.
Kerfuffle.
That's Andy.
Yeah, I've not heard it called that before. Amazing. Right, I'm going to go and charge my batteries. They do need charging. It's been a long week this week, it really has. So thank you all very much for stopping by and spending your Saturday evening with us. We do appreciate it. We would also appreciate if you can smash the like button if you haven't already, and don't forget, if you haven't already and you're here watching for the first time, click on the subscribe button and the chime notification, and you'll be notified of future video releases and notified of live streams when they are happening. If you don't want to do that, you can join our Discord and you'll get notifications on there as well in the new videos room. And of course, if you want to carry on the conversation into our Discord, you're more than welcome to. I probably won't be in there for a great deal of time this evening because I've got work to go to tomorrow morning, but there will be people in there, and it's pretty much someone in there, mostly around the clock. We do have our official greeter in the chat. So yeah, if you want to say hello, you're more than welcome to. I think that is it. Yeah, that is pretty much it. So, I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching. Oh, and don't forget the Amazon sales. If you find anything that's cool, post it in our Discord room, in the Bargains No Chat room, and share it amongst our community if you can. I will also try and do the same thing, so across the Tuesday and Wednesday of deals, I'll be posting them in the Discord and also on the community tab if you're a subscriber, so you'll see any deals there. Mostly they're going to be UK based, but if you find anything which is useful for our viewers in other countries, please do post it, and we'll try and share the bargains. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up. See you later, have a nice week, and yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Cheerio!